Chapter 86. Jiang Xi's mind was shaken. He knew very well that Jiang Dudu had always lacked a sense of security after living as a vagabond for so many years. To be able to say such words, Jiang Dudu must have expended a lot of courage. The separation now was for a better encounter in the future. Being born in this era, if one did not have strength, they would at most struggle to survive. Strength. He quietly looked at the experience panel. Level, Bonehoned Level D, 6500110000, Cultivation Method, 9 Elements Heart Technique Martial Technique, 9 Elements Sword Technique, Fusion, 168130000, Wind Shadow Steps, Refinement, 876110000, Force Exertion, 6, 22 Experience Points, 32977. During the half a month in Ruin number 073, he had improved a lot. Based on his current speed of gaining 100 experience points per day, he would need another 2 months to reach level C. Jiang Xi knew himself well. If he wanted to reach level A in terms of actual combat power, level C was definitely not enough. Currently, on the experience panel, the only thing that can be broken through in a short time is Wind Shadow Steps. However, with just Wind Shadow Steps at the Fusion realm, it will be difficult to reach level A in terms of combat power. In his plan, he was prepared to use 2 to 3 years to achieve his goal of reaching level A in terms of actual combat power. However, after listening to Jiang Dudu's words, Jiang Xi suddenly remembered that he had been very careful recently, not daring to reveal his true speed and strength. He was afraid of being discovered as the murderer with a huge bounty on his head. This kind of life was somewhat sullen. Could it be that before becoming a martial artist, he would have to be so careful? No one could guarantee that he could keep a low profile in these 2 to 3 years. No matter how careful he was, there would always be a time when he would give himself away. However, after entering the training camp, these worries would no longer exist. At that time, not only would he be able to borrow the cultivation resources of the heaven-level training camp to shorten the time needed to reach level A, but he would also be able to eliminate the threat of Feng Xian after a moment of silence. Jiang Xi understood all these. He stared into Jiang Dudu's eyes and said seriously, "I'll go." Jiang Dudu smiled very happily. The next morning, in Qin Yuan's office, Jiang Xi and Lu Kuei sat side by side in front of their desks, signing the enrollment contract for the training camp. Beside him stood Qin Yuan and Lu Shan. They were the witnesses. This contract is equivalent to a letter of intent. If you can pass the 3rd stage of Ling Wan Road, you can sign an official heaven-level training contract with the dojo. Of course, if you fail, you can only enter the Earth-level training camp. Lu Kuei laughed. Jiang Xi nodded gently. He was full of confidence. "Trust me, you won't regret your decision today. Our Genten Budokan's 4 great training camps are the best training grounds in the world." Lu Kuei added when he saw that Jiang Xi did not have much of a reaction. Jiang Xi quickly put on a longing expression. His reaction just now was a little cold. Very good. Lu Kuei was very satisfied with Jiang Xi's attitude. This was the expression that geniuses should have before entering the training camp. Qin Yuan and Lu Shan also laughed. Everyone was happy. Especially Lu Shan. He had witnessed Jiang Xi's growth. He was happy that Jiang Xi could have such an opportunity. He hoped that Jiang Xi could successfully enter the heaven-level training camp. Go and prepare. Say goodbye to your family and friends. We will leave for the dojo headquarters in 3 days. Lu Kuei laughed. Say goodbye to his family and friends? After leaving Qin Yuan's office, Jiang Xi suddenly understood. Yes, after entering the training camp, he could not return home as he wished, like in the wilderness. Family, friends. After thinking for a while, Jiang Xi shook his head and smiled. It did not seem like much. But as long as it was sincere, it was fine. In the next 3 days, Jiang Xi spent 2 days with Jiang Daodu. He cooked at home, took a walk, watched movies, and chatted. He also went to Uncle Yang's house for half a day. It was very relaxing. Riverward had also completely forgotten to cultivate, and had truly relaxed. There was only one day left. Jiang Xi called Zhang Wei, Jiang Sheng, Wang Dalong, and the others to gather in a Genten Budokan restaurant, TSK, Genten Budokan headquarters training camp. After understanding the situation, Zhang Wei looked like he had eaten 10,000 tons of lemons. Jiang Xi, just you wait. I will enter sooner or later. Zhang Wei was unwilling to admit defeat. Jiang Xi laughed. He could see that Zhang Wei was working very hard. Perhaps he really had a chance to enter one of the 4 major training camps. Of course, it might be difficult to enter the heaven-level training camp, but there was still hope for the other 3. Now, he had a rough understanding of the conditions to enter the heaven-level training camp. In addition to the necessary quota, the student must be under the age of 20 and be at least D class. After the meal, Jiang Xi, Wang Dalong, and the others dealt with the materials of the monsters hunted in Ruin 073. After half a month of hunting, they earned a total of 980 million new moon dollars. The main reason was that the last silver-striped red python was very valuable. Riverward already knew that the Berserk Dragon Squad was about to disband. Under his request, the last harvest was split equally between everyone. Wang Dalong and the others could not resist Jiang Xi's request and could only accept it. After the split, each person received 245 million new moon dollars. Wang Dalong, Lu Hao, and Tian Chenfeng were all very emotional. Ever since Jiang Xi joined the Mad Dragon Squad, their income soared. In just half a year, their income was equivalent to more than 10 years of their income. New Moon Year 93, January 20th, morning. The weather was slightly chilly. In the square of Genten Budokan, Pak Sun Province, Lu Kuei's plane was parked there, ready to take off. Jiang Dudu seemed to have grown up a lot. There was no sign of the sadness of parting at all. She smiled and said, "Brother, be careful. Don't get hurt. Most importantly, don't forget to call me. Otherwise, you know the consequences. Most importantly, don't hook up with women outside, especially those vixens." Although Jiang Dudu was smiling like a flower, Jiang Xi felt a chill in his bones from her last sentence. Am I that kind of person? Jiang Xi could not help but roll his eyes. You're not, but you are a vixen. Jiang Dudu maintained her smile. Jiang Xi was speechless for a while. Then, he said with a serious expression, "You too. After I leave, you must eat well, study well, and train well. Most importantly, don't watch too many horror movies in the middle of the night. Don't treat me like a parent." Jiang Dudu glared at him and her smile disappeared. Jiang Xi scratched his head and turned his gaze to Jiang Sheng beside him. He smiled and said, "Uncle Jiang, I'll have to trouble you to take care of Daodu for me in the future." "Ha, don't worry. I'll treat her like my own daughter." Jiang Sheng laughed. Jiang Dudu did not refute this time and remained silent. "Zhang Wei, work hard. I'll be waiting for you in the training camp. Don't pull your legs." Jiang Xi smiled at Zhang Wei. "Don't look down on me." Zhang Wei was annoyed. At this time, Lu Kuei shouted from afar, "Jiang Xi, everyone's here. It's time to go." Jiang Xi took a deep breath and rubbed Jiang Dudu's hair. He squeezed out a smile and said, "I'm leaving." "Oh." Jiang Dudu lowered her head. After that, Jiang Xi waved his hand and strode toward the transport plane without looking back. In front of the transport plane, besides Lu Kuei, Qin Yuan, and Lu Shan, there were 3 other young men. When Jiang Xi got closer, his eyes focused. He had seen one of the 3 young men before. Qin Feng. Chapter 87. Qin Feng only looked at Jiang Xi coldly with disdain in his eyes. It seemed that he already knew that Jiang Xi was going to the Gen 10 Budokan headquarters. Jiang Xi did not mind and smiled gently. They were all adults. They had to be more mature and put on more pretenses. Last time, Lu Shan reminded him that Qin Feng was a little cunning and he had to be more careful. Then, everyone followed Lu Kuei and boarded the transport plane. The gray transport plane whistled and soared into the sky. Facing the morning sun, it turned into a stream of light and disappeared quickly. Jiang Daodu stood there with her head lowered. When she heard the roaring sound of the transport plane, she suddenly raised her head. Her eyes were red and filled with tears. In the past, Jiang Xi would go to the wilderness for a month. She didn't feel too reluctant because Jiangxi didn't go far and could go home at any time. This time, she would be far away from Jiang Xi and be separated for a long time. Almost 10,000 miles away. There was only one holiday every year. The next time they met would be during the new year. In fact, these few days, she had thought of trying to go to the Gen 10 Budokan headquarters with Jiang Xi. But in the end, she gave up because she did not want to live in Jiang Xi's shadow. She wanted to walk side by side with Jiang Xi. Jiang Sheng put his hand on Jiang Daodu's shoulder and sighed softly. He did not say anything to comfort her. He believed that Jiang Daodu could adjust. However, what surprised him was that after the transport plane disappeared, Jiang Daodu suddenly raised her hand to wipe away her tears. Her eyes quickly became firm. Uncle Jiang, I want to go for training. Jiang Daodu looked serious. Jiang Sheng and Zhang Wei looked at each other. Wasn't this adjustment too fast? The distance from Pak Sun Province to the Gen 10 Budokan headquarters was more than 9,000 li. This transport plane was very fast, with an average speed of 4,000 km per hour. It would arrive at the Gen 10 Budokan headquarters in a little over an hour. On the transport plane, Lu Kuei was resting with his eyes closed. Jiang Xi and Qin Feng were quite far from each other, while the other two youths were quite casual. No one said anything. After flying for more than half an hour, one of the young men with a resolute face suddenly walked up to Jiang Xi and smiled. Hello, Jiang Xi. I saw you from afar during the last warrior combat assessment. I didn't expect you to improve so quickly. You are indeed the genius that President He and Commander Zhao named. It has only been half a year, and you already have rank D combat strength. Jiang Xi was stunned. This person was very friendly, but he didn't know him. During the warrior combat assessment? Hello, we haven't met before, right? The resolute young man smiled and nodded. Then, he said seriously, you haven't met me before. Let me introduce myself. I am Zhou Xing, the Deputy Battalion Commander of the 1st Battalion of the Northern Mountain Army's 1st Army Military Brigade. My military rank is Captain. Jiang Xi was in awe and stood up. No wonder he felt the iron-blooded aura of a soldier from Zhou Xing just now. Hello, Battalion Commander Zhou. Ha, we are not in the military camp. You can just call me by my name. Speaking of which, you should know someone. Do you remember her? Zhou Xing smiled and said. Jiang Xi showed a puzzled expression. Do you remember Haning Xue, who came in first in the last warrior combat assessment? She is my junior sister, and she is also a genius. The world was so small. You know junior sister Han too? To everyone's surprise, the other delicate and pretty youth who had been silent all this while suddenly opened his mouth in surprise. For a moment, everyone was stunned. Even Lu Kuei, who was sitting in the front with his eyes closed, opened his eyes in surprise. The world was really small. My name is Yan Chao. I am a fourth-year student of the Hokuzen Budo Academy's combat faculty. I have met junior sister Han many times and have a good relationship with her. The young man was a little shy and did not speak. If it were not for this topic, he might not have spoken along the way. Jiang Xi patted his forehead. He was a little confused. This was too much of a coincidence. He subconsciously glanced at Qin Feng. This handsome and sinister person also knew Han Ningxue. This meant that the 4 people who set off for the Genten Budokan headquarters this time were all related to Han Ningxue. If this stubborn girl was in a novel, she would definitely have the life of a main character. Humph. Qin Feng snorted coldly. At the mention of Han Ningxue, he was filled with hatred for Jiang Xi. Ever since he met Han Ningxue at that restaurant, he had not seen Han Ningxue for more than half a month in Pak Sun province. Han Ningxue was one of the best among the younger generation of the various reclusive families in the Xia kingdom. She was beautiful and was valued by many people. The Qin and Han families had a long history among the reclusive families. They had extraordinary backgrounds and placed great emphasis on cultivating bloodlines. The 2 families also had the intention to let him and Han Ningxue walk together and form a strong alliance. Therefore, Qin Feng had always regarded Han Ningxue as his own. It was impossible to say that he liked Han Ningxue. After all, they had only interacted a little when they were young. Strictly speaking, he only had a possessive desire for Han Ningxue. Jiang Xi's existence and Han Ningxue's attitude made Qin Feng burn with jealousy. Some time ago, he wanted to suppress and deal with Jiang Xi through the Warriors Supervision Bureau of Pak Sun Province. But in the end, due to some irresistible force, this plan was abandoned. You're lucky. When we get to the training camp, everyone will rely on their own abilities. Without protection, you can only wait for death. Qin Feng thought bitterly. On the other side, Zhou Xing and Yan Chao saw that Qin Feng was a little arrogant and had no interest in striking up a conversation with him. They just stayed with Jiang Xi. The 3 of them chatted and laughed, and soon became familiar with each other. After some understanding, Jiang Xi finally understood why people from the Northern Mountain Army and Hokuzen Budo Academy could also enter the Genten Budokan training camp. It turned out that the 4 main training camps of Genten Budokan were open to the public. As long as one was a citizen of the Xia kingdom, they were qualified to enter. This was especially true for the army. Every year, the prefectural city would reserve a quota for military martial artists. Zhou Xing and Yan Chao were both D-level martial artists. Moreover, they were 20 years old and had outstanding talent. They met the requirements to enter the heaven-level training camp. When the 2 of them found out that Jiang Xi still had to pass the test to enter the heaven-level training camp, they both gave him encouragement. Jiang Xi also thanked them. One by one the transport plane flew very smoothly. There were no bumps or noises. When flying in the wilderness, it was inevitable to encounter flying monsters. Ordinary planes might be dangerous. However, this transport plane could fly unscrupulously in the wilderness. This was because it was the most advanced transport plane. Whether it was flying or fighting, it was top-notch. The only possible danger was that it would encounter flying A-level monsters. Of course, with Lu Kuei around, ordinary A-level monsters would not dare to invade. Soon, the transport plane began to descend. We're almost there. Jiang Xi and the others also stopped talking and looked out the window. They could only see a white mountain range that stretched across the land like a long dragon. It was impossible to see the end of it. This should be the Kunlun Mountains, right? Yan Chao exclaimed. The legendary sacred mountain. Zhou Xing's eyes lit up. Chapter 88. On the plateau, long snow-colored dragons seemed to be rushing into the sky. It was a spectacular sight. Riverward's heart was also in turmoil. It was because he had visited this plateau before in the olden era. Even though the scenery at that time made one feel relaxed and happy, it wasn't as shocking as it was now. The Kunlun Mountains in the Spirit Chi Revival era was more like a fairyland. It was still winter, but there were many lush forests between the snow-capped mountains. It was mysterious and majestic. The headquarters of Genten Budokan is located on the plateau in the south of the Kunlun Mountains, near Qingnan Prefecture. It is called Xiantian City, which is equivalent to a small prefecture city. The strongest man in the world, Xiantian, used his powerful strength to intimidate the monsters on the plateau and forcibly carved out a habitat for the human race. Yan Chao was from the academic school, so he remembered the theoretical knowledge very well. Yes, if it weren't for the small population of Xiantian City, with only 10 million residents, the Xia kingdom might have been able to claim that it has 8 prefectures. Zhou Xing sighed. Among the 4 of them, only Jiang Xi was a Genten Budokan martial artist. However, he knew very little about this background. Riverward kept nodding his head as he listened to their conversation. The Western Plateau was not like the 7 prefectures, where the living conditions were suitable. The living conditions here were more harsh, so the population was much smaller. On the other side, Qin Feng leaned against the corner of the wall with a look of disdain. What do you guys know? Although Xiantian City has the smallest population, it is second only to Shuntian Prefecture in terms of the number of martial artists and powerhouses. The harsher the environment, the more it can train one's willpower and strength. Therefore, the ratio of martial artists in Xiantian City is very high, and the probability of powerhouses appearing is also very high. This is also the reason why Genten Budokan has so many powerhouses. As LV Kuei spoke, he stood up and stretched his back. The 4 of them were silent and listened obediently. Jiang Xi thought that part of the reason why Xiantian City was so strong must have something to do with Genten Budokan. After all, this was the headquarters of Genten Budokan. There were many strong people here. Just by distributing some resources to the Xiantian City, many martial artists would be able to soar. Soon, the Xiantian City came into view. It was a huge city that was one size smaller than Pak Sun Province, located on a plateau. Xiantian City was also surrounded by a tall city wall to fend off the monsters in the wilderness. The transport plane did not stop in Xiantian City. Instead, it continued to fly deeper into the plateau. Jiang Xi and Zhou Xing were surprised. Not entering the city. The training camp is outside the city. You must remember that we are here to improve our strength, not to enjoy ourselves. Lu Kuei said solemnly. Jiang Xi, Zhou Xing, and Yan Chao nodded solemnly. Only Qin Feng still had a look of disdain on his face. After a while, the transport plane slowly landed. After getting off the plane, they saw a small town. They were now in the town square. On the left was the residential area. There were exquisite villas and apartments. On the right was the functional area. There were shopping malls and restaurants. In front of the town square, there were 4 huge buildings. They were very similar to the 3 huge buildings in Genten Budokan in Pak Sun Province. Of course, the buildings here looked more majestic. There were very few people in the town. Even if there were 1 or 2, they were in a hurry. At most, they would bow to Lu Kuei, then look at Jiang Xi and the others curiously before leaving. Changqing, come here. Lu Kuei shouted to a young man who was passing by. The young man named Changqing, who was wearing a short-sleeved shirt and had a strong body, trotted over. Greetings, Chief Instructor. Changqing bowed respectfully. He was neither servile nor overbearing, and he did not hide his aura. So strong. Zhou Xing and Yan Chao were shocked. This young man, who looked about their age, was actually a B-class martial artist. Jiang Xi was also surprised. Although he had the combat power of a B-class martial artist, it was due to the experience panel. Changqing did not have such conditions. He was only in his 20s, and he was already a B-class martial artist. Such strength, if placed in the martial arts world of Pak Sun Province, would be in the top 10. Think about Lu Shan, who was in his 40s and had just broken through to B-class. He must be a genius trainee from the heaven-level training camp. Jiang Xi guessed. At this moment, he put away his contempt. Originally, he only came for the resources of the heaven-level training camp. He did not care about the trainees inside. It seemed that he had to take this seriously. It would be embarrassing if he were to fail because of his underestimation of him. As expected, Lu Kuei said, "Take these 3 juniors and report to the heaven-level training camp." They were indeed trainees from the heaven-level training camp. The 3 juniors were Qin Feng, Zhou Xing, and Yan Chao. They were the ones who had been accepted into the heaven-level training camp. Although Yan Chao was shy, after everyone became familiar with each other, he became more open and encouraged Jiang Xi, do your best. I believe that Jiang Xi will definitely pass the test and pass the 3rd stage of Lingwan Road. Zhou Xing laughed. He had seen Jiang Xi's amazing performance in the martial artist combat assessment, and he had full confidence in Jiang Xi. Okay, after I pass, I'll treat you 2 to a meal. Jiang Xi chuckled. Chang Qing was still a little puzzled by their conversation, but when he heard this, he looked at Jiang Xi in surprise. Was this junior also a trainee of the heaven-level training camp? But why did he want to pass the 3rd stage of Lingwan Road? Speaking of which, this junior was really confident. Half of the trainees in the heaven-level training camp had not passed this stage yet. He wanted to pass the 3rd stage as soon as he arrived. However, he did not ask. There were many people who were blindly confident, and they would eventually be hammered by reality. On the side, Qin Feng still kept a distance from everyone, looking slightly arrogant. Listening to the conversation between Jiang Xi and the others, the disdain in his heart grew stronger. Then, Chang Qing left with the 3 of them. Lu Kuei looked at Jiang Xi and said, "Now you're the only one left. I hope you can pass the 3rd stage of Lingwan Road like they said. Let's go, I'll take you to Lingwan Road now." The 3rd stage of Lingwan Road. Jiang Xi was curious and expectant. After talking for so long, what was Lingwan Road? What was so magical about it? Was it an illusion? Jiang Xi followed Lu Kuei and came to the front of the 4 giant buildings in front of the square. Genten Budokan branches all over the country have similar giant buildings, but there are some differences here. These 4 buildings correspond to the 4 major training camps. They are Tianyuan Pavilion, Dianyuan Pavilion, Xianyuan Pavilion, and Huangyuan Pavilion. Each of them has many facilities related to cultivation. It is where the trainees of each training camp usually train and improve. Among them, Lingwan Road is in Tianyuan Pavilion. If you can successfully enter the heaven-level training camp, you will have to come to Tianyuan Pavilion often in the future. Lu Kuei introduced with a smile. Jiang Xi observed carefully. Tianyuan Pavilion covered a large area, with only 3 floors. However, the height of each floor was much higher, and the architectural style was different from ordinary buildings. It seemed to be piled up with huge stones. Walking into the 1st floor, there was no reception hall, only a large training field. In the deepest part, there was a 3-meter-high stone pillar platform. Vaguely, the stone pillar platform looked very simple. Chapter 89. In the training field, Jiang Xi saw only one student practicing martial arts. Whoosh whoosh, not far away, a bare-chested brawny man wielded a large saber in his hand. The saber flashed, and every slash shook the air. The power was astonishing. He was so focused that he did not notice Jiang Xi and Lu Kuei. Very strong. It should be an advanced saber technique that has reached the minute subtlety realm. This person's strength is at least B class. Jiang Xi was shocked. He had encountered 2 heaven-level training camp students in a row, and both of them had reached B class. Lu Kuei smiled. The 1st floor is the combat center. It's a place to practice martial arts and engage in combat. However, very few people come here to practice martial arts. Jiang Xi nodded slightly. It was normal. He would do the same. Martial arts were everyone's trump card. Very few martial artists were willing to practice martial arts in public. That way, others would be able to see through them. If you can successfully enter the heaven-level training camp, you will slowly understand these facilities in the future. Let's go to the second floor. Lingwan Road is there. Lu Kuei did not want to waste time. Jiang Xi only smiled. Judging from Lu Kuei's tone, he did not have high hopes for him. There was a large enclosed room on the second floor. Outside the room was a row of sofas for resting. At this moment, someone was using it. He needed to wait for a while. Jiang Xi looked around and then focused his attention on the enclosed room. This room seemed to be very private. There were no windows, and the door was very thick. The whole thing was black. Lingwan Road is inside. Because it is one of the most valuable items in the training camp, its defense level is very high. This door is made of A-class alloy and is 1 meter thick. Lu Kuei said proudly. A-class alloy. 1 meter thick. Riverward was completely stunned. How fucking extravagant. The defense level was not only high, it was simply abnormal. A-class alloy was the raw material used to forge A-class weapons. The A-grade Shadow's Lair sword, including the hilt, was only 1.3 meters long. How much was it worth? Jiang Xi had checked the price in the Xiantian shopping center. 30 billion new moon dollars. The door in front of him was a sliding door with a height of 5 meters, a width of 3 meters, and a thickness of 1 meter. How many Shadow's Lair swords could he make? After setting up a stall and selling vegetables for so many years, Jiang Xi believed that his mental arithmetic ability was not bad. But now, he suddenly couldn't calculate the value of this door. Its value could no longer be described as hundreds of billions. 1 trillion? 10 trillion? Then, how valuable was the Lingwan Road in this room? Jiang Xi felt a sense of suffocation coming from his defense. He was unable to speak. Beside him, Lu Kuei chuckled. To be honest, he had been depressed ever since he met Jiang Xi. He had been in charge of the 4 great training camps for many years, but he had never seen someone like Jiang Xi. When other geniuses heard that it was an opportunity to train in the heavenly training camp, they were excited and couldn't wait. But Jiang Xi's reaction was cold. He actually wanted to consider it. At that time, if not for Qin Yuan smoothing things over, he would have flicked his sleeves and left. Later, even when Jiang Xi agreed, Lu Kuei found that Jiang Xi's reaction was very calm. There was no excitement or surprise. If not for the fact that he had seen Jiang Xi's information and knew that Jiang Xi's grades were good, he would have suspected that he had recruited a retard. Now, Jiang Xi was finally shocked. Lu Kuei was in a good mood. It was even better than killing an A-grade monster. Rumble, the door made of A-grade alloy slowly opened. A petite female student walked out. When she saw Jiang Xi and Lu Kuei, she was obviously stunned. Greetings, Chief Instructor. She quickly bowed. Hello. Lu Kuei only nodded. Then, he led Jiang Xi in and the door slowly closed. The female student didn't leave. Her pretty face revealed a thoughtful expression. The chief instructor is personally leading the way. Are they new students? That's right. Looking at the time, some of the new students of the heavenly training camp should have arrived. No, it's not the time for the new students to take their first Lingwan Road assessment. She shook her head again. This has never happened before. Since I have nothing to do, let's take a look first. She sat down on the sofa in the resting area with great interest. Inside the room, Jiang Xi was stunned. He was shocked again. What? This is Lingwan Road. In the middle of the room, there was a huge rock that was about 3 meters tall. The rock had 4 sides. 3 of them were vertical, and the last one was a slope. The so-called Lingwan Road was on this huge slope. There were a total of 9 steps. In other words, these 9 steps were chiseled out of this rock. Looking at the other 3 sides of the rock, they were actually very smooth. It was as if someone had cut them with a knife. It was very uncoordinated. Are you disappointed? Lu Kuei asked with a smile. Jiang Xi nodded. He was indeed very disappointed. After all this time, it was actually just ordinary stone steps. Moreover, he vaguely felt that the entire rock had been dug out from somewhere else. Feel it carefully with your heart, Lu Kuei said again. Feel it with my heart. Jiang Xi was puzzled. He carefully observed the huge rock in front of him. The rock and the surface of the steps seemed to have suffered the ravages of time and could be weathered away at any time. Something's not right. It's a little unusual. Jiang Xi calmed down and became serious. After looking at it for a long time, he suddenly felt a kind of simple charm. The chief instructor once said that in this era, the more simple something looks, the more you can't underestimate it. Lu Kuei said with a smile. The chief instructor said that? Jiang Xi was startled. Wasn't that what the world's strongest person, Xian Tian, said? It seemed to make sense. It is said that the chief instructor and senior Li Baibai found Lingwan Road in a mysterious place. Li Baibai, senior Li Baibai, and the others didn't like these ordinary stone steps. However, the chief instructor noticed the difference and directly carried it back. Lu Kuei seemed to be reminiscing. His words made Jiang Xi fall into silence. He felt that it wasn't that simple. Was he sure that the chief instructor didn't use a knife to cut it down? Then what's the matter with the illusion? Jiang Xi was very curious about this. As for the origin of Lingwan Road, he estimated that he wouldn't be able to figure it out in a short time. It was better to go back to the present. He had to pass the Lingwan Road assessment first. It's similar to a mythical method. When people stand on the steps, their spiritual consciousness will fall into a specific illusion. The so-called Lingwan Road assessment is to pass the trial in the illusion. Lu Kuei explained with a smile. Jiang Xi let out a long breath. His thoughts were a little messy. Mythical method, the illusion trial. Lu Kuei continued, you will know this when you climb the steps. Let's talk about the content of the illusion trial first. Lingwan Road has 9 steps. Each step has an illusion. The next 3 steps are a stage. You have to pass the 3rd step, which is the first stage. In the illusion, you are a trial taker. The target of the trial is 100 monsters of the same realm as your body. Your mission is to kill these 100 monsters. Hearing this, Jiang Xi was really relieved. His body realm was D-class, but his actual combat power was B-class. He had never encountered a group of 100 D-class monsters before. Jiang Xi estimated that the overall strength should be about the same as the 2-headed demon wolf group he encountered in ruin number 09 last time. At that time, he had escaped to his limit and was in a very sorry state. But it was different now. His actual combat power was at least 10 times stronger than when he was in ruin number 09. He was still confident that he could destroy a group of 100 D-class monsters. Lu Kuei saw that Jiang Xi was very calm again and shook his head. Don't be careless. The monsters in the illusion are somewhat different from the monsters in the wilderness. Their attacks are very mysterious. If measured by the realm of martial arts, the monsters in the illusion of the first 3 steps are all at the realm of small mastery of advanced martial arts. Jiang Xi's expression changed. Normal D-class monsters were easy to deal with. But if the monster's attack was at the realm of small mastery of advanced martial arts, then its strength was not simple. In other words, each of these monsters was comparable to a normal C-class monster. The difficulty of this trial was more than 10 times higher than he had imagined. Abnormal. Chapter 90. The official trainees of the Heaven-level training camp are all geniuses, but there are still a dozen trainees wandering between the first and second steps of Lingwan Road. What does this mean? This trial is not simple. Lu Kuei reminded him again. Stand barefoot on the first step and close your eyes to enter the dreamscape. Remember, you only have one chance. If you fail, you can only enter the Earth-level training camp. Normally, with his status, he wouldn't have reminded so much and would have directly asked Jiang Xi to go up for the trial. He did this out of kindness, and also because he thought highly of Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi took a deep breath to calm himself down, then took off his shoes and socks, took a few steps forward, and walked to the huge rock. Without hesitation, he lifted his foot and stepped on the first step. After standing on the first step, the soles of his feet didn't feel anything special. If he really had to describe it, it would be that his feet felt cold. Jiang Xi gently closed his eyes. In an instant, his spiritual consciousness spun. After calming down, he opened his eyes again. It's so real. Jiang Xi was shocked. In front of him was an endless prairie, with a blue sky without a single cloud. This illusory space looked no different from reality. At this moment, he was standing on a white jade platform. Next to him was a tall stone pillar with words written on it, name, Jiang Xi age, 18 strength, Dling 1 road level. One seeing this, Jiang Xi felt very strange. Ling 1 road was obviously not a product of this era, so why was it expressed in such a modern way? Moreover, it even knew his name. Perhaps there was some secret behind it. Jiang Xi guessed in his heart. Trial participant, the trial will begin in 1 minute. Please choose your weapon. At this moment, a clear female voice sounded in the dreamscape. Along with this voice, various weapons began to appear in front of Jiang Xi. What made Jiang Xi feel strange was that these weapons looked very old, like ancient weapons. That sword. Jiang Xi chose a sword that was very similar to the killer's shadow sword. The long sword appeared in Jiang Xi's hand. He swung it lightly. He didn't know what material it was made of, but its weight was just right. It felt good. Participant, please kill 100 D-grade Herculean demonic apes within an hour. 100 curly-haired gorillas appeared out of thin air 1,000 meters away on the grassland in front of him, all of them ferocious. Killing 100 in an hour is very difficult. Jiang Xi calmed himself down and tightened his grip on his sword. Although this is an illusory realm and I'm the only one here, I can't use the wind shadow steps at full strength just in case. He wasn't sure if others could see the situation in the illusion from the outside. After all, some of the things in the illusion looked very modern. Jiang Xi warned himself not to let down his guard before he was sure that he was strong enough to face Feng Xian. Let the trial begin. The crisp female voice rang out once more. Roar! 100 Herculean demonic apes roared as they charged forward with great momentum. D-grade monsters only have half the speed of sound. To deal with them, I only need to display a speed close to the speed of sound. Jiang Xi's figure was graceful, and his speed reached 300 meters per second. In less than 2 seconds, he met the mighty Herculean demonic apes head-on. Roar! Woo! 100 Herculean demonic apes, each of them more than 3 meters tall, attacked Jiang Xi in a frenzy. Their arms were very long, and when they swung their arms, they were like 2 sturdy, thick sticks that whistled through the air. They seemed to be using some kind of staff technique, and it was somewhat mysterious. However, Jiang Xi was even faster. His body was like a phantom, and his sword was as fast as lightning. The 9-elemental sword technique, which had just entered the Unity realm, gave him more than 6 times the strength, allowing his strength to explode in an instant. Even if he didn't use the wind shadow steps at full strength, his combat power was close to B-grade just by using his sword technique. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, the long sword accompanied Jiang Xi's figure and swept past the neck of the nearest Herculean demonic ape. The Herculean demonic ape's neck was almost cut off. Its huge head tilted uncontrollably to one side, and blood splashed out a few meters away. After that, Jiang Xi moved a few steps to the side, dodging the attacks of the surrounding Herculean demonic apes, and the long sword attacked again. Stab! Sweep! Chop. This long sword, which was similar to the killer's shadow sword, was very easy to use. Every move of the 9 elemental sword technique was displayed incisively and vividly, coupled with the speed close to the speed of sound. Jiang Xi's whole person seemed to be dancing in a group of beasts. The sword flashed, and blood splashed around him. The Herculean demonic apes, which were good at strength and defense, had no power to fight back in front of Jiang Xi. Wherever Jiang Xi passed, only the huge Herculean demonic apes' corpses were left behind. Congratulations, you used 19 minutes to pass the first trial of Ling Wan Road. The clear female voice in the illusion space sounded again. That's it. Jiang Xi was not satisfied. After the 9 elemental sword technique reached the Unity realm, this was the first time he used it with all his strength. The excitement of killing was gone. 19 minutes, not bad. Jiang Xi nodded slightly. However, to his disappointment, killing the monsters in the illusion did not give him any experience points. It seemed that only by killing real life could he get experience points. Before he could summarize the gains and losses of the battle, the illusion space suddenly changed, and the sky and earth spun again. When he opened his eyes again, he had already left the illusion. You have passed the first trial of Ling Wan Road, experience points plus 5,000. At this time, the prompt of the experience points panel suddenly sounded in his ears. Jiang Xi was stunned. In the distance, Lu Kuei found that Jiang Xi opened his eyes and was shocked. You passed the first trial so quickly. He was the chief instructor of the training camp. Of course, he knew the difficulty of the first trial of Ling Wan Road. The Herculean demonic ape was difficult to deal with. It had high defense and great strength. Many of the heaven-level training camp's new trainees failed Ling Wan Road for the first time. Even if they could pass, it would take them at least 40 minutes. But Jiang Xi passed it in less than 20 minutes. What is he doing standing there? Lu Kuei was surprised, but he was also a little puzzled. At this time, Jiang Xi should be on the second step. In fact, Jiang Xi was also very surprised at this time. What was the origin of Ling Wan Road? Or rather, what was the origin of the experience points panel? Was there a connection between the two? Passing Ling Wan Road could give experience points, and it was so rich, 5,000 experience points. Since the activation of the experience points panel, there had never been such a large amount of experience points in a single go. For the first time, Jiang Xi felt that coming to the heaven-level training camp was the right choice. After shaking his head and reorganizing his emotions, Jiang Xi stepped on the second step of Ling Wan Road barefoot. He closed his eyes. After a moment of dizziness, he appeared in the illusion again. It was still a grassland, and he stood on a white jade platform. But the handwriting on the tall stone pillar next to him had changed. Name, Jiang Xi, age, 18, strength, D-class, Ling Wan Road, 2. Jiang Xi chose his long sword again and waited quietly. What were the trial monsters in the illusory space of the second step? After a while, a clear female voice sounded. Trial taker, please kill 100 D-class white wine demon tigers within an hour. White Wind Demon Tiger. Jiang Xi was stunned. It was very familiar. Chapter 91. Whoosh. In the illusory space, a fierce wind blew, and 100 huge wind demon white tigers appeared out of thin air on the grassland in front of Jiang Xi. The wind demon white tiger's body was white, but its tiger stripes were black. Monsters that are skilled in movement techniques and speed? Jiang Xi fell into deep thought. The 9 elements sword art he practiced was created by Li Baibai, the world's second strongest martial artist, after observing the wind fiend white tiger. Because of this, he had specifically looked up information on the white tiger. The speed of a D-class monster was usually around 150 meters per second. The Herculean demonic ape just now was at this level. As for the D-grade wind demon white tiger, which specialized in speed, its speed exceeded 200 meters per second. It's even harder to deal with than the Herculean demonic ape. Jiang Xi's attention was even more focused. The trial begins. Accompanied by a clear female voice, Jiang Xi leaped lightly, as fast as lightning, towards the 100-winged demon white tigers. Roar! Although there was no forest, the wind demon white tiger still displayed the aura of a king among beasts. They all rushed towards Jiang Xi, the wind howling. Swish swish, its long tiger tail, like a long sword, instantly straightened and swept towards Jiang Xi. So fast. Jiang Xi's figure moved swiftly, barely dodging these attacks. Tiger-type monsters had 3 ways to attack: pounce, lift, and scissor. What surprised Jiang Xi was that there was actually some charm of the 9 elements sword technique in the scissoring attack of the tiger tail. No, it's not the 9 elemental sword art. It's a quick sword move that's similar to the 9 elemental sword art. Jiang Xi quickly understood. Then let's have a battle of quick swords. In the face of the fierce attacks of the white tigers, Jiang Xi quickly responded. He still maintained his movement speed of 300 meters per second, but his sword moved even faster. Swish! Swish! The long sword danced in the air, and the misty sword shadow was like a sword beam, its power astonishing. When it landed on the wind demon white tiger, a fatal wound instantly appeared. Chi! Under Jiang Xi's continuous attacks, the wind demon white tiger horde became chaotic. Although they were good at speed, their strength was limited. The highest speed they could reach was around 200 meters per second, which was not as fast as Jiang Xi. Under the attacks of Jiang Xi's long sword, they fell to the ground one after another. This was an absolute difference in strength. Even without using wind shadow steps at full strength, Jiang Xi's 9 elemental swordplay alone was close to a Class B's combat power. The Wind Fiend White Tiger's defense is much weaker, so it's easier to kill it. A quarter of an hour later, Jiang Xi abruptly stopped. There was not a single living white wind tiger in front of him. Congratulations, you've passed the second trial of Lingwan Road in 15 minutes. Riverward's expression was indifferent. Outside the illusory world, Lu Kuei stood there quietly, thinking. The second stage illusion monster of Lingwan Road was the wind demon white tiger, which was good at speed. It was famous for being difficult to deal with. Many of the students in the heaven-level training camp had failed to pass the second stage in 2 or 3 years. He believed that Jiang Xi could pass the second stage, but he was still prepared to wait for more than half an hour. Lu Kuei's eyes suddenly widened. He passed again. He's even faster than the first stage. What kind of monster is this kid? Lu Kuei could no longer keep calm. Other people passed Lingwan Road slower and slower, but Jiang Xi was faster and faster. He was now certain that Jiang Xi could definitely pass the third stage of Lingwan Road. On the other side, after Jiang Xi's consciousness came out of the second illusion, the same experience points notification sounded again. You have passed the second stage of Lingwan Road, experience points plus 10,000, phew. Jiang Xi took a deep breath, suppressing the surprise in his heart. What was the background of Lingwan Road? The experience points it provided were too insane. If I can pass Lingwan Road every day, I won't have to go to the wilderness to hunt monsters anymore. I'll get a lot of experience points just by staying in the training camp. Jiang Xi fantasized. He lifted his foot and stepped on the third stage. This was the most important stage. If he passed it, he would be an official student of the heaven-level training camp. The world spun, and Jiang Xi once again appeared in the illusion space. After finishing his preparations, a clear female voice sounded, "Participant, please kill 100 D-class red-shelled earthworms within an hour." Red-shelled earthworm? Jiang Xi was shocked. The word dragon had too many mythical meanings. It could be said that any monster with a dragon in its name was not simple. For example, 40 years ago, on the other side of the ocean in the Dark Shadow Kingdom, a city was attacked by a monster horde. The leader of the horde was an A-class crypt flame dragon that wreaked havoc in the city, killing nearly 10 million residents. A-class crypt flame dragons were comparable to top A-class human fighters. They were very difficult to deal with. In the end, the Dark Shadow Kingdom sacrificed 2 A-class fighters in order to kill the powerful A-class crypt flame dragon. In front of Jiang Xi's eyes, 100 huge red-shelled earthworms appeared. They had red scales and a long winding tail that swayed gently like a blade. When a red-shelled earthworm reaches A-class, it will become a crypt flame dragon. Information about the red-shelled earthworm appeared in Jiang Xi's mind. This was a monster that had both strength, defense, and speed. Its attributes were perfect, and it had almost no weaknesses. Let the trial begin. This time, Jiang Xi took the lead. Like lightning, a sword aura pierced towards the nearest red-shelled earthworm. Puchi. The sword aura pierced through the red-shelled earthworm's scales and went more than a foot deep. He could clearly feel that the difficulty of piercing through the red-shelled earthworm was much higher than the Herculean demonic ape and the white-wind demon tiger. In other words, the red-shelled earthworm's defense was higher. However, under the premise that his strength was superior, Jiang Xi could still deal with it. It was just that the speed of killing was much slower. Roar! The huge red-shelled earthworm's breath was filled with thick fog, and its temperature was very high. Dozens of blade-like long tails swept towards Jiang Xi. It was similar to a mysterious blade technique. Jiang Xi's body turned continuously, dodging the attacks of the long tails. Bang! Jiang Xi was hit by a few of the long tails. It was as if he was hit by a blade, and he flew out horizontally. He started to show signs of injury. Even though it was just an illusion, he still felt intense pain, and he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Damn, luckily it's not a real blade. Otherwise, my body would have been cut in half. Jiang Xi relied on wind shadow steps to control his body. He endured the pain and continued to deal with the group of red-shelled earthworms. He did not know how much time had passed, but it was much longer than the previous 2 illusions. Congratulations, you used 31 minutes to pass the 3rd stage of Ling Wan Road's trial. When the voice of the illusion rang out, Riverward was panting as he stood on the corpse of a huge scarlet-shelled earthworm. One of his arms was drooping, and there was a shocking bloody hole in his stomach. A few of his ribs were also broken, and his injuries were serious. However, there were no longer any red-shelled earthworms alive. Damn, I almost flipped over. Riverward sat down. Without using his full speed, it was easy for him to be hit by the scarlet-shelled earthworm's attacks. Outside the illusion. When Jiang Xi's time in the illusion exceeded 30 minutes, Lu Kuei heaved a sigh of relief. Seems like it's normal. Students who attempt the 3rd stage of Ling Wan Road for the first time usually take around 40 minutes. Subconsciously, he was actually worried that Jiang Xi would pass the 3rd stage of the illusion quickly as well. This familiar scene made Lu Kuei widen his eyes. He saw Jiang Xi standing on the 3rd stage of Ling Wan Road. He opened his eyes, and because of the discomfort in his feet, he moved slightly. Only 31 minutes. Lu Kuei's heart was filled with shock. Chapter 92. You have passed the 3rd trial of Ling Wan Road. Experience plus 15,000. After the notification on the experience panel sounded, Jiang Xi walked down Ling Wan Road and did not continue to climb the next step. The difficulty of the illusory realm trial of Ling Wan Road increases with each step. If the 3rd step is already so difficult, the next step will definitely be even more difficult. Without fully utilizing the wind shadow steps, the possibility of passing the next step was very small. Jiang Xi shook his head and decided not to think about it for the time being. He should celebrate because from this moment on, he was an official student of the Heaven-level training camp. Lu Kuei walked over and congratulated, "Welcome to the Heaven-level training camp." Very official. Jiang Xi smiled and asked, Senior Lu, can I challenge Ling Wan Road at any time in the future? This was a crucial question. Ling Wan Road provided too much experience. At any time. You are too greedy. Do you know how precious the opportunity to challenge Ling Wan Road is? Lu Kuei did not know whether to laugh or cry. Jiang Xi shook his head honestly. Lu Kuei smiled and said, after you officially enter the camp, you can go to the Xian Tian forum on the dojo's intranet to find out more. Now, I will take you to the camp to stay. The A-grade alloy door opened, and Jiang Xi and Lu Kuei walked out of the room on Ling Wan Road. The two of them turned their heads at the same time to look at the resting area. The petite female student from before was sitting on a sofa with some astonishment. The two of them did not talk. Lu Kuei only nodded slightly and then left with Jiang Xi. After the two of them left, the female student showed a puzzled expression. Is he really a new student? He stayed in there for more than an hour and passed the first step. If it's only the first step of Ling Wan Road, it's not worth the chief instructor personally leading the way, right? She did not understand. Right, the heaven ranking. She used her tactical communications watch to log into the Xian Tian forum. After checking some things, she was dumbfounded. Heaven Leaderboard 101. Jiang Xi followed Lu Kuei to the villa area that he saw at the beginning. There was a stone tablet at the entrance of the residential area with the words, Tianyuan Residential Area, written on it. There was also a three-dimensional hologram beside the stone tablet, which attracted Jiang Xi's attention. In the holographic projection, there was a list of names. Heavenly Ranking Rank 1, Yen Feng, student number 8905. Heavenly Ranking number 2, Shu Qiqi, student number 9020. Heaven Ranking number 3, Li Yanji, student number 8915. Heaven Ranking 17th, Chang Qing, student number 9106. Lu Kuei noticed that Jiang Xi was looking at the holographic screen. He smiled and introduced, this is the Heaven list. It's ranked according to the actual combat results of the students in the Heaven level training camp. It's very useful for reference. Jiang Xi nodded slightly and looked down. He saw a familiar name at the end. Heavenly Ranking number 84, Zhou Xing, student number 9304. Heavenly Ranking number 85, Yan Chao, student number 9305. Heavenly Ranking number 86, Qin Feng, student number 9306. Heavenly Ranking number 101, Jiang Xi, student number 9321. What made Jiang Xi feel strange was that his ranking actually went from 86 to 101. Lu Kuei seemed to have noticed Jiang Xi's confusion and explained, every year, 20 senior students graduate from the Heaven level training camp, and 20 new students join. The current top 80 on the Heavenly ranking is ranked according to actual combat results after excluding the senior students who graduated. As for the rankings after the 80th, they are ranked according to the order in which the new students entered the camp. It has nothing to do with strength. The same goes for the student number. The first two represent the year in which they entered the camp, and the last two represent the order in which they entered the camp. Hearing this, Jiang Xi was even more confused. Then shouldn't I be ranked number 87 on the Heavenly ranking and student number 9307? Oh, you are a little special. Originally, only 20 new students were recruited every year. You are an exception. In order to not affect the students from other prefectural cities who come to the camp, you can only be ranked number 21. Don't worry about the current ranking. Now that everyone is on vacation, the new school year has not officially begun. When the new school year begins next month, everyone will be ranked according to actual combat results. At that time, you can work hard and get a good ranking. At the end, Lu Kuei laughed heartily. Jiang Xi was speechless for a moment. He felt like he was being raised by a stepmother. But what's the use of this ranking? Is it just to differentiate strength? Lu Kuei said seriously, of course it's useful. Everyone came to the training camp to improve their strength, but the cultivation resources are limited. It's impossible to distribute them equally to everyone. Take Lingwan Road for example. There's only one, so who can use it? Of course, it's for the strong. The ranking on the heaven list is based on actual combat results. The higher the ranking, the more cultivation resources you can get. Of course, those who are ranked at the bottom will also be punished. There are 12 months in a year. Excluding the 2-month break during Chinese New Year, the remaining 10 months will be based on actual combat results. The students who are ranked at the bottom 5 will be eliminated to the Earth level training camp next year. Then, the top 5 of the Earth level training camp will replace them in the Heaven level training camp. Lu Kuei explained with a serious expression. Jiang Xi nodded calmly. So this was the purpose of the Heaven list. The two of them walked into Tianyuan district. After walking for a while, they stopped in front of a detached villa. Tianyuan district is the dormitory of the Heaven level training camp. Originally, only 100 detached villas were planned. Later, the head of the training camp allowed us to build a few more. It seems like the head of the training camp had foresight. Otherwise, you would be living in a townhouse in Tianyuan district right now, Lu Kuei said with a smile. Jiang Xi was silent. He was indeed an unplanned student. This is Villa 101. From now on, it will be your residence in the Heaven level training camp. Lu Kuei led Jiang Xi inside. This villa was smaller than the one Jiang Xi had in Tongtian district in Pak Sun province. However, it was well equipped. There was even a training room. It was more than enough for one person to live in. After looking around, Lu Kuei said, I'll take you here. If there's anything you don't understand, you can check the Heaven level training camp section of the Xian Tian forum. I've already given you access. One last reminder. While there aren't many new students, you should hurry up and find a martial arts teacher online. Otherwise, when all the new students arrive, there will be a shortage of teachers. It will be difficult to find a suitable teacher then. Jiang Xi hurriedly thanked him. Thank you, Senior Lu. An A-rank powerhouse patiently accompanied him for half a day. This kind of treatment was rare. Ha, you are now an official student of the Heaven level training camp. Just like them, you can call me the head instructor. Yes, head instructor. At the same time, Jiang Xi, who was ranked 101st on the Heaven level ranking, was quickly known by all the major martial arts organizations in the world. Because the Genten Budokan Heaven level training camp had a fixed quota of 100 students every year. It was the first time a 101st had appeared. A special one. This was the first evaluation of Jiang Xi by all the major forces. Jianghai Prefecture, Mingxin Mountain Manor. In front of Feng Xian, detailed information about Jiang Xi appeared. It was almost the same as the information collected by Genten Budokan in Pak Sun province. From Jiang Xi's rental in Apricot Flower Garden to today's appearance in the Heaven level training camp, he was ranked 101st on the Heaven level ranking. Feng Xian carefully checked Jiang Xi's information, not letting go of any details. Chapter 93. Feng Xian had suspected Jiang Xi before. After his son, Feng Shaocheng, was killed, he issued a huge bounty through the Liberal Alliance. However, after investigating for so long, he did not get any results. After eliminating the few C-class martial artists as suspects, he focused on those with outstanding talent. During this process, he discovered Jiang Xi, the first genius in history to score full marks in martial arts talent. However, in the end, he also eliminated Jiang Xi as a suspect. This was because Jiang Xi had only been a martial artist for 4 months at that time. The possibility of killing a C-class martial artist with one strike was close to zero. In addition, there was the news that Jiang Xi's strength had reached D-class not long ago. This information allowed Feng Xian to basically confirm that Jiang Xi was not the murderer. However, now, Jiang Xi had actually entered the Genten Budokan Heaven level training camp. Feng Xian would rather kill the wrong person than let the wrong person go, so he retrieved Jiang Xi's information. A special one. Could you be my son's murderer? Feng Xian's eyes flashed coldly. A moment later, the leader of his personal guards, Old Yuan, walked in from outside. How is it? Did you find out? Feng Xian's voice was low. Old Yuan nodded and replied, yes, according to the report of the Liberal Alliance's spies in the Genten Budokan headquarters, Jiang Xi passed the third stage of Lingwan Road, which was why he was specially allowed to enter the heaven-level training camp. Is he good at speed? No, his speed was around 300 meters per second in the first 3 illusion trials. However, he is good at swordsmanship, and his attainments are very high. According to the spies, with his swordsmanship, his combat power is close to that of a B-class martial artist. Not good at speed, but good at swordsmanship. According to the information, 2 months ago, his combat power reached D-class, and now he is close to B-class. Was he hiding his strength before? And in just 2 short months? Feng Xian stared at Riverward's image. Old Yuan hesitated and said, he is a genius with full marks for martial arts talent. Looking at his previous speed of improvement, it only took him 4 months to grow from a martial arts newbie to a D-class martial artist. Now, it took him another 2 months to go from D-class to B-class. I think it's normal. Moreover, young master was killed 3 months ago. At that time, Jiang Xi's strength was still far from enough. It took a lot of courage for Old Yuan to say these words, but as the leader of Feng Xian's personal guards and think tank, he had the responsibility to provide rational analysis and suggestions. After all, there were too many experts behind Jiang Xi. On the surface, Jiang Xi had no one to protect him. But after such a long investigation, he found that there was always an invisible net around Jiang Xi. The simplest point was that Jiang Xi was the first genius with full marks for martial arts talent since the Spirit Qi revival. During last year's Martial Sciences College entrance examination, the president of Pak Sun Province's Martial Arts Association pointed out Jiang Xi's name in front of everyone. The strange thing was, such a big commotion did not spread after that. If they did not deliberately investigate Jiang Xi, they would rarely notice Jiang Xi's existence. This was very abnormal. What shocked Old Yuan even more was that even with the Liberal Alliance's powerful intelligence network, they could not find any records of Jiang Xi before he was 13. There were only rumors that Jiang Xi was a street kid. Old Yuan did not believe this rumor at all. How could a street kid have the opportunity to come into contact with martial arts? With a serious attitude, he guessed that Jiang Xi might have an even more terrifying background. Old Yuan did not want his master to offend those experts behind the scenes because of Jiang Xi. Feng Xian shook his head. If Old Yuan could think of it, so could he. However, his son was dead. That was his only son. The person who could kill his son's bodyguard with 1 slash was either a Class B or a top Class C who excelled in speed. From the information he had obtained so far, Jiang Xi's characteristics were very similar to the murderer's. The only thing missing was his speed. If Jiang Xi was hiding his speed, then the answer was obvious. Feng Xian's eyes flashed coldly. Put him as the first suspect. Have someone keep an eye on him. Inform me immediately once you find out that he excels in speed. Old Yuan sighed in his heart. After Jiang Xi tidied up the villa, he entered the training room. He used the computer in the training room to log into Genten Budokan's intranet. In the virtual light, 3 sections appeared: Xian Tian Forum, Xian Tian Shopping Center, and Personal Center. Jiang Xi clicked on Personal Center. In the information section, he found that his information in Genten Budokan had changed. Name, Jiang Xi. Gender, male. Age, 18. Level, Class D, Bone Honing Stage, 101st on the Heaven Leaderboard. Affiliation, Genten Budokan Heaven Level Training Camp. Permissions, Lingwan Road once, Wondrous Rock Mountain once, Heaven Level Training Camp. Permanent access, Wondrous Rock Mountain. This was the first time Jiang Xi had seen such a term. It appeared at the same time as Lingwan Road. This means that its importance is about the same as Lingwan Road. In his confusion, Jiang Xi opened the Xian Tian forum. Perhaps he could find the answer there. In the forum, in addition to the various chat groups, there were also various answering posts. Jiang Xi noticed that there was now a new section, Heaven Level Training Camp. He clicked on it. In the Heaven Level Training Camp section, there were several sections: Heaven Leaderboard, Teaching, Trading, Lingwan Road, Wondrous Rock Mountain, etc. Jiang Xi opened the Heaven Leaderboard and found that it was a complete copy of the Heaven Leaderboard at the entrance to Tianyuan District. The rankings were the same. Let's take a look at the usage rules of Lingwan Road first. This was one of his main concerns. He opened the Lingwan Road section. There was an introduction and related forum posts. In the introduction, a line of eye-catching black words floated before Jiang Xi's eyes. There is an illusory space at every step of Lingwan Road. However, after successfully passing the trial, you will not be able to enter it again. Jiang Xi shook his head and smiled. As expected, there was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. If he could keep going through Lingwan Road, then he really would not have to do anything. He would just farm Lingwan Road EXP every day. At the end of the introduction, there was also the distribution rules for the usage of Lingwan Road. As Lu Kuei had said, the distribution was based on the Heaven Leaderboard ranking. First on the Heaven Leaderboard, 30 chances next month. Second on the Heaven Leaderboard, 25 chances next month. Third on the Heaven Leaderboard, 20 chances next month. 61-80 on the Heaven Leaderboard, 3 chances next month. 81-100 on the Heaven Leaderboard, 1 chance next month. Note, each opportunity is limited to 2 hours. Jiang Xi was a little disappointed. He was now 101st on the Heaven Leaderboard, and he only had 1 chance next month. Sure enough, everything depended on strength. Next month, he would really have to compete for the Heaven Leaderboard ranking. Then, Jiang Xi saw that there were several hot forum posts related to Lingwan Road at the bottom of the page. Since he had nothing to do, he opened them one by one and skimmed through them. One of the posts revealed information that Jiang Xi was very interested in. The content of the post said, most of the Heaven Level Training Camp students on Lingwan Road are at the 3rd and 4th stage. A small number of them are at the 1st and 2nd stage. Only the most outstanding students have the strength to reach the 5th and even the 6th stage. From everyone's experience on Lingwan Road, we can conclude that the illusory space trial is of great help to the comprehension and improvement of martial arts techniques. Some people even speculate that there may be several treasure-level high-level martial arts techniques hidden in the illusory space of Lingwan Road. When the trial taker reaches a higher stage on Lingwan Road, the probability of comprehending martial arts techniques in the corresponding illusory space trial is higher. Chapter 94. The content of the post made Jiang Xi think of something. When he first got the 9 Elements Sword Art, it was mentioned in the teaching light that the 9 Elements Sword Art was created by Li Bai and Bai Guan. According to Senior Lu, it was Senior Xian Tian, Senior Li Bai, and some others who found Lingwan Road at the same time. Could it be that Senior Li Bai got the 9 Elements Sword Art from Lingwan Road? After the understanding just now, Jiang Xi now knew the basic situation of Lingwan Road. The Spirit Cloud Path had 3 steps as a stage. In the first step, the monster in the illusion trial was the Herculean demonic ape, which was inclined to strength and defense. In the second step, the monster in the illusion trial was the wind demon white tiger, which was inclined to speed. In the third step, the monster in the illusion trial was the red-shelled earthworm, which had all the advantages of the first 2 steps. At this stage, the attacks of the 3 monsters were equivalent to the minor completion of advanced martial arts. In the next stage, from the 4th to the 6th, the 3 monsters were still in the same order. The only difference was that the attacks of the monsters were more mysterious, reaching the perfection of advanced martial arts. Then from the 7th to the 9th step, the attacks of the monsters also rose to the perfection of advanced martial arts. Jiang Xi recalled that the attacks of the 3 monsters in the illusion of Ling Wan Road were indeed mysterious, like some kind of martial arts. If the 9 elements sword art was really obtained from Ling Wan Road by Senior Li Bai, then some of the secret rumors about Ling Wan Road may not be so simple. After thinking for a while, Jiang Xi shook his head and put this speculation aside for the time being. With his current strength, it was difficult to explore the secrets. Later, Jiang Xi checked the column of Wonderful Stone Mountain. There was also a lot of information about Wondrous Rock Mountain, but the only thing that surprised Riverward was that Wondrous Rock Mountain could increase one's cultivation speed. This was the first time he heard that there was something that could improve the speed of cultivation since he started practicing martial arts. Then, Wonderful Rock Mountain's cultivation opportunities were distributed, just like Ling Wan Road. It was also distributed according to the Heaven List's ranking. Even the number of times was the same. For example, Jiang Xi was now ranked 101 on the Heaven List. He had a chance to cultivate in Ling Wan Road and Miaoshi Mountain respectively. What is Wondrous Stone Mountain like? A mountain? This was what Jiang Xi was curious about. However, he was just curious at most. Jiang Xi did not have much expectation for Wonderful Rock Mountain. He had the EXP panel, so he didn't need to meditate too much. He just needed to give him experience points. Let's look at the teaching column and choose a martial arts teacher while we're at it. From Lu Kuei's tone, choosing a martial arts teacher was a very important matter. Jiang Xi was also clear about this point. A good teacher could help students avoid many detours. In the teaching column, he saw many martial arts teaching videos posted by the instructors of the Heaven Level Training Camp. They taught saber techniques, sword techniques, spear techniques, and so on. After casually clicking on a few and watching for a while, Jiang Xi was not interested in watching any more. This was because the demonstrations and explanations of martial arts in the videos were very simple. Although some of the demonstrations were advanced martial arts, it was obvious that the instructors did not go into depth. Jiang Xi did not know that this was actually a misunderstanding of the instructors of the Heaven Level Training Camp. After all, the 2 advanced martial arts he cultivated, the 9 elemental swordsmanship was at the initial stage of unification, and the wind shadow step was close to perfection. Such a level had broadened his horizons. On the other hand, some of the other students in the Heaven Level Training Camp had not even cultivated advanced martial arts. Even if they did, their realm might not be that high. And these teaching videos were targeted at this group of students. It seems that I still have to choose a martial arts teacher. Jiang Xi nodded lightly. Although he had the EXP panel, he still wanted to see the understanding of martial arts by other powerhouses. Only by pooling ideas and being good at learning could he make better progress. In the teaching column, there was a special selection function, where he could choose a martial arts teacher. After clicking on it, he could see a brief introduction of each instructor. Wu Dehua, grade A martial artist, proficient in saber and fist techniques. Once killed a grade A 2-headed hellhound with 3 strikes. Shang Qi, grade A martial artist, proficient in staff techniques. 30 years ago, when the Beast Tide invaded southern Green Prefecture, he alone blocked more than 10 grade B monsters. Li Chen, grade A martial artist, proficient in swordsmanship. The more Jiang Xi watched, the more shocked he became. There were a total of 23 instructors in the Heaven Level Training Camp, and all of them were grade A martial artists. This was the scariest part. And each of them had a battle that made them famous. If these instructors were placed in the 7 major prefectures of the Daxia Empire, they would definitely be one of the best. Genten Budokan is indeed the world's #1 martial arts force. Just a Heaven Level Training Camp, and there are already 23 grade A martial artist instructors. How many powerhouses are there in the dark? Although he was shocked, Jiang Xi was somewhat distressed. He did not know which instructor to choose as his teacher. Out of the 23 instructors, 6 of them were proficient in swordsmanship. Looking at the introduction, none of them were weak. Should I just not choose? Jiang Xi shook his head. This idea was not practical. Everyone else had their own teachers. If he did not choose, it would be too abrupt. Being steady and low-key was his rule of survival. But randomly choosing one was not his style. Either he did not do it, or he did it to the best of his ability. Since he was going to choose, he would definitely choose the most suitable one. A martial arts teacher might be helpful in improving his understanding of martial arts. In the end, after pondering for a long time, Jiang Xi still could not make a decision. This was because he knew too little about these instructors. Just based on the introduction in the teaching column, it was useless. At this moment, Jiang Xi's tactical communications watch vibrated. Is it a call from Dodo? Jiang Xi smiled slightly. It's not. Jiang Xi was stunned for a moment. After checking, he found that it was a message from Zhou Xing. He, Zhou Xing, and Yan Chao had exchanged contact information on the transport plane. Dinner at the training camp's restaurant tonight? The participants are all students from Pak Sun Province. It looked like a Pak Sun Province Fellow Townsmen's Association. Jiang Xi thought about it and decided to participate. Maybe he could get some useful information from the old students. 7:00 in the evening. Jiang Xi arrived at a restaurant in the heaven level training camp. At this time, there were already more than 10 people there. Everyone was talking and laughing. As soon as he entered, Jiang Xi saw Zhou Xing and Yan Chao. He smiled and walked over. I knew you could definitely pass the third stage of Lingwan Road. Zhou Xing punched Jiang Xi's shoulder with his fist. The old students were also surprised and looked at Jiang Xi curiously. They had already learned from Zhou Xing that Jiang Xi had to pass the third stage of Lingwan Road before he could join the heaven level training camp. Jiang Xi, let me introduce you. This is our Pak Sun Province's big sister, Shu Qiqi, seventh sister. Zhou Xing led Jiang Xi to a quiet and beautiful woman. She was older. Her long hair reached her shoulders. She wore a casual white top and tight jeans. She had a good figure. Shu Qiqi. Jiang Xi couldn't help but take another look. Second on the heaven ranking. He didn't expect her to be from Pak Sun Province. After the article was written, wow, a few trolls made my mind explode today. To be honest, we read novels for entertainment and for fun. If you don't like it, you can leave quietly. But why give a bad review? Some people only read one chapter and give a 1 star. I read it. Some people are white and have never spent money to read. I can understand that they don't have money, but can't they be a good person? If it wasn't for the fact that I've returned to being a Buddhist in recent years, I would have let you trolls experience what it means to be an Uchiha 1 versus 7 in the keyboard world. Do you believe that 1,000 trolls in a second? Okay, I'm done venting. I'm in a good mood. Good night, dear readers, except trolls. Chapter 95. Nice to meet you, seventh sister. Jiang Xi greeted her. Nice to meet you. Shu Qiqi nodded and smiled. Her smile was very gentle, unlike the genius martial artist ranked second on the heaven list. After that, Zhou Xing introduced Jiang Xi to the others. Since they were all from the same village in Pak Sun Province, they started chatting very quickly. After a round of chatting, Jiang Xi, Zhou Xing, and the others sat down at a table. Jiang Xi, don't be fooled by seventh sister's gentle and kind appearance. When she fights, she's very violent, especially in the past 2 years. Her ranking on the heaven list has always been in the top 3. Her actual combat power has long since reached Class A. The person who spoke was a burly man with a rough face. His name was Qian Hu. Like Zhou Xing, he was also a martial artist from the Northern Mountain Army. Qian Hu was not weak. He had reached Class C and was ranked 42nd on the heaven list. Hearing his words, Riverward glanced at Shu Qiqi, who was sitting in the distance in surprise. The genius martial artist ranked second on the heaven list was indeed not simple. If seventh sister is so strong, why didn't she break through to Class A? Zhou Xing asked. This was also the question Jiang Xi wanted to ask. It was reasonable to say that the top 10 on the heaven list all had Class A combat power and could break through to Class A at any time. Why not? Because once you reach Class A, you will have to leave the heaven rank training camp. Compared to the outside world, there are experienced Class A martial artists as instructors here. There are also miraculous cultivation resources like Lingwan Road and Wondrous Rock Mountain. Who would want to leave? Of course, you have to endure for 5 years. Qian Hu laughed. Jiang Xi and Zhou Xing suddenly understood. At this time, Jiang Xi noticed that Yan Chao had been sitting next to them without saying anything. He was in low spirits. This was not normal. In Jiang Xi's impression, although Yan Chao was shy, he was very lively in front of acquaintances. Jiang Xi asked Zhou Xing what was going on. Zhou Xing jokingly scolded, "This silly girl's head is too simple." In the morning, she was tricked by an old student of Shuntian Hall. She insisted on going to compare notes and gamble with others. In the end, she lost everything. Yan Chao lowered his head, somewhat at a loss. "How much did you lose?" Jiang Xi asked. 100 million, all of his assets. Jiang Xi frowned. Although it was disgusting, it was normal for the old students to suppress the new students through sparring and gambling. It was just that this kind of gambling match where the other party's entire fortune was taken away was too much. Yan Chao was a top-notch D-class martial artist, similar in strength to Wang Dalong of the Mad Dragon Squad. If he wanted to accumulate a net worth of 100 million, he would need at least 3 years. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's teach him a lesson. Zhou Xing shook his head. Jiang Xi smiled. What he said was true. The dinner went on until 8:00 in the evening. Just as the atmosphere was lively, 3 uninvited guests suddenly appeared in the dining hall. Qin Feng. Jiang Xi frowned. One of the 3 uninvited guests was Qin Feng. They walked straight to Jiang Xi. "Qiao Sheng, what are you doing here?" Qian Hu stepped forward and shouted at one of them. Qiao Sheng was a fair-skinned youth. He did not care about Qian Hu's obstruction and locked his gaze on Jiang Xi. "You are Jiang Xi." Qiao Sheng smiled and looked very friendly. He heard this sentence again. Jiang Xi felt helpless in his heart and shook his head gently. "No." Qiao Sheng froze for a moment and looked at Qin Feng beside him. Qin Feng sneered. "Jiang Xi, have you become so timid? You don't even dare to admit your name?" Jiang Xi shook his head again. "I'm shaking my head because your way of finding fault is too low class and too cliché." Fuck. They were all young people. Qin Feng, Qiao Sheng, and another youth immediately became angry. At this time, Shu Qiqi and the others in the distance noticed the commotion and walked over. "What do you want?" Shu Qiqi asked softly. "Greetings, Senior Shu. We want to find the newcomer, Junior Jiang Xi, to have a friendly exchange of pointers. Isn't it a tradition in the heaven rank training camp?" Qiao Sheng said with a smile that was neither servile nor overbearing. Qin Feng sneered at the side. "Qiao Sheng, you, a senior student ranked 40th on the heaven rank, want to exchange pointers with a newcomer? Have some shame." Qian Hu laughed angrily. Qiao Sheng still had a smile on his face as he gave a look to the other young man who was traveling with him. The youth then smiled at Jiang Xi. "Junior Jiang Xi, my name is Wang Kai. I joined the heaven rank training camp last year. Are you interested in exchanging pointers with me?" "Of course, it's fine if you don't want to." "Jiang Xi, don't exchange pointers with him." I was screwed over by this Wang Kai this morning. Yan Chao said anxiously, then glared at Wang Kai. Zhou Xing also said in a low voice, Jiang Ci, don't be rash. This Wang Kai is ranked 71st on the heaven rank. He's not weak, having the combat power of AC class. Qian Hu also advised. Jiang Ci was calm. He nodded and was about to speak. At this time, Qin Feng suddenly said, if you don't dare to exchange pointers, admit that you're a coward. Qiao Sheng and Wang Kai chuckled with a hint of mockery. The meaning was clear. The faces of the students from Pak Sun province changed. These words were too harsh. Martial artists were all about courage and courage. If Jiang Ci didn't accept the challenge, he would be labeled as a coward. This would affect his future training in the heaven rank training camp. For example, when it came to choosing a martial arts teacher, no instructor would be willing to accept a coward as a student. Oh. Qin Feng, may I ask if you found a senior student to exchange pointers with? Why don't you find a senior from my side to exchange pointers with you? Jiang Ci looked calmly at Qin Feng. You. Qin Feng was speechless. Ha! Jiang Ci laughed, then turned his gaze to Wang Kai and said loudly, isn't it just exchanging pointers? Why wouldn't I dare? How do you want to exchange pointers? Wang Kai looked inquiringly at Qin Feng and Qiao Sheng. After getting an affirmative look, he said, let's exchange pointers in the combat center. However, there must be a prize. According to the rules of the Heaven Rank Training Camp, the minimum prize is 100 million New Moon dollars, 100 million, Jiang Ci, can you afford it? Qin Feng said with disdain. He had investigated Jiang Ci last time and heard that Jiang Ci came from a poor family and didn't have much money. Therefore, he deliberately said such words to embarrass Jiang Ci. Jiang Ci smiled and shook his head. Qin Feng's smile grew wider, and the mockery in his voice became more obvious. He was in a good mood. However, Jiang Ci continued to shake his head and said, how can 100 million be enough? After all, we are all students of the Heaven Rank Training Camp. Our status is high. If outsiders know that the prize for our exchange pointers is only 100 million, won't they laugh to death? If you ask me, let's make it 1 billion, 1 billion. Silence. Qin Feng's smile froze. Not only Qin Feng and the other two, but even the students from Pak Sun province, such as Shu Qiqi and Qian Hu, were shocked by Jiang Ci's words. They were shocked that Jiang Ci could actually come up with so much money. Don't puff yourself up at your own cost. This money has to be taken out in advance and put into a third-party account for the exchange. Qin Feng was a little angry, thinking that Jiang Ci was playing with him. Sure, how do you do it? Jiang Ci looked indifferent. Chapter 96. I need one of you to submit a duel request in the martial arts section of the Heaven Level Training Camp section of the Xiantian Forum. Then, just transfer the money in. Whoever wins will have the money transferred to their account, Shu Qiqi explained. Jiang Ci nodded and said to Wang Kai, you're Wang Kai, right? Didn't you want to challenge me? Go and apply. I'll accept the challenge. This attitude made Wang Kai feel like he had swallowed a dead fly. Who the hell wants to challenge you? I'm the veteran here. At the same time, he was in a difficult position because he couldn't take out that much money. Oh. You don't have enough money? Jiang Ci pretended to be surprised. Wang Kai remained silent. Don't worry about it. I'll pay for it. Qin Feng's face was gloomy. Wang Kai didn't feel embarrassed. He often did this. Then, he used his tactical communications watch to log into the Xiantian Forum and submitted a duel request in the Heaven Level Training Camp section. On the other side, Jiang Ci quickly received the duel request. Without thinking, he clicked on the accept button. Please transfer the money to the duel. 1 billion new moon dollars. Jiang Xi and Wang Kai's tactical communications watches rang at the same time. Humph. Qin Feng transferred 1 billion new moon dollars for Wang Kai. Then, he looked at Jiang Xi provocatively. Your turn. Everyone's eyes were focused on Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi was very calm. He transferred 1 billion new moon dollars from his personal account. Although he had only entered the wilderness 3 times, he had earned a lot with his strength. Now, his account balance was close to 1 billion new moon dollars. That was why he had the confidence to propose such a high bet. Duel request successful. Duel time, New Moon Year 93, January 21, 10 a.m., duel location, Tianyuan Pavilion Combat Center. Then, Jiang Xi and Wang Kai both received the message. He really took out so much money. Everyone was surprised. Although these old students could take out so much money, they couldn't do it like Jiang Xi, who could take it out without batting an eyelid. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, don't run away. Otherwise, we'll gladly accept this 1 billion. Qin Feng sneered and turned to leave with Qiao Sheng and Wang Kai. Looking at their backs, Jiang Xi fell into deep thought. It was certain that Qin Feng was behind all these things, including Yan Chao being tricked in the morning. Qian Hu, send a copy of Wang Kai's detailed information to Jiang Xi later, Shu Qiqi instructed. She was the leader of the students in Pak Sun Province. Thank you. Jiang Xi thanked Shu Qiqi and Qian Hu. Shu Qiqi said seriously, Jiang Xi, you have to be careful of Qin Feng. If I remember correctly, he should be from the Shuntian Prefecture's Qin family. He's not as simple as we think. As soon as she said that, many old students looked in the direction Qin Feng left in surprise. Although the Shuntian Prefecture's Qin family was not well known in the martial arts world, as the geniuses of the heaven-level training camp, they had a wide range of contacts. They had heard of such a reclusive family. Mysterious and powerful. This was the evaluation of the reclusive family by many experts. Jiang Xi also nodded solemnly. Shu Qiqi, Qian Hu, and the others were only surprised that Jiang Xi could take out so much money, but they were not thinking about Jiang Xi's duel. In their opinion, since Jiang Xi could successfully pass the 3rd stage of Lingwan Road, his strength should not be too weak. As long as they had Wang Kai's detailed information, they could be sure that nothing would go wrong. After Jiang Xi returned to Tianyuan District's Villa 101, he chatted with Jiang Daodu for a while, and soon received the document from Qian Hu. After thanking Qian Hu again, Jiang Xi ended the call with Jiang Daodu. Come on, brother. Beat them up. Before ending the call, Jiang Daodu waved her fist to encourage Jiang Xi. Just wait and see. Jiang Xi entered the practice room and carefully studied Wang Kai's information. Even a lion needs to use all its strength to catch a rabbit. He was confident that he could win the duel, but he still had to be cautious. In the holographic projection, all the information about Wang Kai was recorded from his birth to the day before today. What a freak! What's senior brother Qian's specialty? He actually got such detailed information. Jiang Xi was speechless. He later learned that before Qian Hu came to the heaven-level training camp, he was a military martial artist in charge of intelligence in the Northern Mountain Army. After that, Jiang Xi spent 2 hours skimming through the information and memorizing the important parts. 21 years old, top-notch D-level martial artist, proficient in saber techniques, intermediate fusion of martial arts techniques. Possesses the combat power of a C-level martial artist, and has the record of defeating a C-level martial artist alone. Jiang Xi sat cross-legged, thinking carefully. None of the trainees in the heaven-level training camp are simple. This Wang Kai's strength is much stronger than Wang Dalong's. Moreover, Wang Kai is only 21 years old, while Wang Dalong is almost 40. There shouldn't be any problems. Jiang Xi confirmed in his mind, and then opened the experience panel. Level, Bonehoned Level D, 650111000. Cultivation method. 9 elements mantra martial arts techniques. 9 elements swordsmanship, fusion. 168130000. Wind shadow step, refinement. 876110000. Force exertion. 6. 22 experience points. 52977. His own strength was not a problem. Even without the wind shadow step, he had the combat power of a B-level martial artist. Moreover, his biggest gain today was the 20,000 experience points gained from clearing Lingwan Road. It's a pity that the experience points gained from each step of Lingwan Road can only be gained once. Jiang Xi was still brooding over this. I can't be too greedy. The later steps will definitely give me a lot of experience points. I'll just have to work hard. Jiang Xi shook his head again. After all, it was an unexpected gain. Then, he took out the monster meat he had bought from the market in the camp town. After cooking for a while, he began to use the panel to improve his cultivation for the day. At the same time, the news about the bet between Jiang Xi and Wang Kai was quickly spreading in the heaven-level training camp section of the Xian Tian forum. Someone was deliberately spreading the news. Usually, the heaven-level training camp had a lot of betting matches, but the stakes were usually very small, unlike this time, where the stakes were as high as 1 billion, which shocked many trainees who were paying attention to this bet. At the same time, what caught everyone's attention was that one of the bets was the most special person in the heaven-level training camp, Jiang Xi, the 101st on the heaven-level ranking. Jiang Xi was known as a special person in the outside world. Everyone wanted to see what was so special about him. The next morning, Jiang Xi woke up at 6 o'clock as usual. After washing up and eating breakfast, he went to the villa's balcony to cultivate. As long as he was not in the wilderness, he would do this every day. It had become a habit of his. It took him nearly 2 hours to complete 3 cycles of the 9 Elemental Heart Sutra, earning him 27 experience points. Although it was very little, it was still meat no matter how small a mosquito was. At 9 o'clock in the morning, his tactical communications watch began to vibrate non-stop. When he opened it, he saw that it was full of reminders and urging messages. Most of them were from his fellow villagers from Pak Sun province whom he had just met yesterday. Seeing that he had not gone to work so late, everyone was afraid that he had forgotten about the bet. Chapter 97. This book will be on the shelves after 12 noon tomorrow. After 48 days, it's finally going to be on the shelves. First of all, thank you to the friends who have been supporting this book until now. Congratulations, you've mastered the invulnerable body. As for when you'll master the invulnerable body, you'll have to finish this book first. Secondly, I want to thank my editor, Dear Cry, for giving me so many recommendations for such a poisonous book. Especially when I was confused, he gave me confidence. I'm super touched. I know very well what is wrong with the front of this book. Sometimes, when I look back, I think, what kind of crap is this? So, I'm really grateful to the friends who have persisted until now. Thank you. To be honest, it's not very appropriate to be on the shelves at this time. Because I've been in a bad mood recently. Well, very bad. I've accumulated negative emotions for nearly a month. Yesterday, I was almost blown up by a few trolls. Since 2020, I've been unlucky. Not to mention losing my job, the unluckiest was this May. May 4th, my house was gone. I lost more than 200,000. May 14th, my uncle died of a myocardial infarction. I didn't even see him for the last time. Some readers should know that I used my phone to write during that time. May 20th, my girlfriend was gone. There were a lot of other messy things. In short, it was very annoying. And May happened to be the critical period for new book recommendations. Seeing that many readers urged me to update, I actually wanted to break out and improve my performance, but I couldn't. With so many things happening, I think it's a miracle that I didn't stop updating. Why didn't I stop updating? The reason is simple. Because I really love novels. I want to prove myself and write good novels. Constantly updating is the most basic quality. After saying so much, it's finally the most critical part. Please subscribe, I'm an old bookworm. I've been reading novels for almost 20 years. During that time, I've written a few books on and off. Of course, my results are nothing. Single-digit subscriptions, now, it's still a small failure, and small. After this book was approved, I set a goal for myself to get it on the shelves. Then, I'll have an average of more than 100 subscriptions by the end of the book. I'll be satisfied with this result. I've already reached the collection goal. Almost 4,000 subscriptions, which is something I didn't dare to think about before. Now that it was finally going to be released, could the target of over 100 orders be achieved in advance? Alright, I'm very thin-skinned. I hate borrowing money from others, and I hate it even more when others borrow money from me. Because subscriptions cost money. So, let's get down to business and talk about the update on the day of the release. As we all know, the first order of a new book is very important, so let's use the first order as the standard. 1. Regardless of the results, there will be a Chapter 5 update tomorrow at noon. 2. After more than 100 initial subscriptions, every additional 50 initial subscriptions will add one update. 3. If it's a reward, let's do what we can and set it higher. 10,000 rewards plus one more update, I don't think there will be one. P.S. The updating rule is valid for a long time, until the end of the book, but the second rule has to be changed to equal subscription, 4. As for the future updates, I'll make sure to update twice a day at least and 3 times a day on weekends. If I do well in the later stages, it's not a problem to update 3 times a day because I have to work to earn money. So, friends who have the means, please come and support us tomorrow. The initial subscription is only a few cents, so it should be fine. In addition, friends who read books on QQ, if you're not afraid of the trouble, you can come to Chidian to make an initial subscription, and then run back to read the book. Thank you in advance. Because the initial subscription is on Chidian, subscriptions from other places are not counted as initial subscriptions. Finally, friends who usually read pirated books, can you come and support us? The next Chidian app, it doesn't cost much to make an initial subscription. Finally, I'm nervous. Please give me confidence, everyone. Don't say so much. If the initial subscriptions don't exceed 100, then it'll be awkward. Also, don't stop with the recommendation tickets. Oh, I almost forgot, you can give monthly votes as soon as it's released. When the time comes, you must save 2 monthly votes. Everyone. Okay, good night. Chapter 98. What made Jiang Xi happy was that Qin Feng and Qiao Sheng had also sent him messages urging him. Why was Qiao Sheng so enthusiastic? This thought flashed through Jiang Xi's mind, but he didn't pay much attention to it. It was only at 9:45 a.m. that he left for Tianyuan Pavilion. Why would he go so early? To be stared at like a monkey? He already knew that the news of the duel had attracted a lot of attention. First floor of Tianyuan Pavilion, Combat Center. This was a large training field, and in the depths of the field, there was a simple and unadorned stone platform. The platform was about 3 meters tall, narrow at the top and wide at the bottom. In the Heaven Rank training camp, this platform was known as the combat arena. At this moment, many people had already gathered around the combat arena. They were all senior trainees of the Heaven Rank training camp. Qin Feng, Qiao Sheng, and Wang Kai had also arrived early. There was one more person with them. It was an ordinary-looking young man, but his eyes were deep. It was obvious that this young man was in a dominant position in front of Qin Feng and the others. This was because Qin Feng and the others were very humble. They were not as arrogant as yesterday. On the other side, all the trainees from Pak Sun province were present. None of them were absent. Ma Yu, It's just an ordinary duel. Are you here to join in the fun? Shu Qiqi smiled at the young man. Aren't you here too? Ma Yu smiled. After a simple conversation, the two of them stopped talking. Through this conversation, they could roughly guess the purpose of each other's visit. 9:55 a.m. Is that brat still coming or not? I rushed back from the wastelands overnight just to watch this duel. One of the older students shouted. Could it be that he's scared? Someone guessed. If that's the case, then he's generous enough to give out 1 billion new moon dollars. Next time, I'll find him for a duel too, someone mocked. Let's go back to training. Qin Feng's eyes were filled with mockery and ridicule. He was in a good mood. If Riverward really didn't come, then he would be labeled as a coward and a coward. One could imagine how difficult it would be for Jiang Xi to raise his head in the heaven-level training camp in the future. Qiao Xing frowned slightly. No one knew what he was thinking. Ma Yu remained calm and collected, as if nothing could affect him. As for Wang Kai, who had a bet with Jiang Xi, he also looked indifferent. He didn't care if Jiang Xi came or not. He was confident that he would win. If he didn't come, he would be earning money for nothing. On the other side, Shu Qiqi and Qian Hu looked at each other. That shouldn't be the case. Did Jiang Xi really run away? Zhou Xing and Yan Chao looked worriedly in the direction of Tianyuan Pavilion's entrance. They did not see Jiang Xi. 9:58 a.m. Just as someone was about to leave impatiently, a figure appeared at the entrance of Tianyuan Pavilion under the sunlight. Jiang Xi is here. Damn, he really knows how to act. Some of the older trainees almost cursed. Faced with so many gazes, Jiang Xi's expression was natural. He walked steadily to the arena. He already knew that the bet would be held in the arena. Jiang Xi was very surprised by this. The arena was similar to Lingwan Road. When one was on it, one's consciousness would enter an illusion. Then, both parties would fight in the illusion. They could attack without worry and not hurt their bodies in the real world. When Jiang Xi saw the arena's simple stone pillars, he couldn't help but wonder if the arena and Lingwan Road came from the same place. Sensing the angry gazes, Jiang Xi was calm. He looked at Qin Feng and the others. Alright, stop dawdling. Let's start. Fuck. The anger of Qin Feng and the others immediately rose. Who's dawdling? Come on, Jiang Xi. Zhou Xing shouted. Teach that old bastard a lesson. Yan Chao was angry. He had been tricked by Wang Kai. Riverward smiled as he waved his hand confidently. Exerting force with his feet, he leaped up and lightly landed on the arena. The arena had a radius of 1 meter. It was more than enough to accommodate 2 people arrogant. Wang Kai was unhappy with Jiang Xi's confident attitude. He also jumped onto the arena and stared coldly at Jiang Xi. A new trainee should be honest, humble, and low-key. Showing such a confident attitude, it was obvious that he didn't take him seriously. He decided to take it seriously and teach this arrogant new trainee a lesson. 10 a.m. sharp. Both of them closed their eyes at the same time. Suddenly, they felt the world spinning. When they opened their eyes again, they were both in an illusion. Riverward quickly observed his surroundings. This was a very large martial arts arena. It was like a martial arts arena that had been magnified 100 times. At this moment, he was 100 meters away from Wang Kai. The illusion of the battle arena seems to be specially used for sparring. Jiang Xi still had time to think about these questions. Please choose your weapon or equipment. A clear female voice sounded in the illusion space. Then, many kinds of weapons appeared in front of their eyes. The voice is the same as the one in the illusion space of Lingwan Road. It seems that the arena and Lingwan Road are from the same place. Jiang Xi confirmed his guess. At the same time, he also chose the long sword he used when he challenged Lingwan Road. Wang Kai also chose a long sword similar to the tiger head sword. I only need 3 slashes to kill you. Wang Kai pointed his sword at Jiang Xi. He looked arrogant as if he was looking down on the world. Oh. That's amazing. Jiang Xi pretended to be surprised. Humph. A minute later, a voice echoed in the illusion space, let the battle begin. Go to hell. Wang Kai shouted loudly. He stomped on the ground and leaped high into the air. His long saber carried a strong wind as it whistled through the air and slashed towards riverward. With his speed, he could cross the distance of 100 meters in less than a second. However, Jiang Xi was unmoved. He was very calm. When the strong wind came, Jiang Xi's figure suddenly became graceful. He held his long sword horizontally. In an instant, the sword swept out. Clang! The sword and the sword collided. Jiang Xi and Wang Kai took half a step back at the same time. What? Wang Kai was very surprised. He used all his strength to attack. A new student actually showed the same strength as him. No, it should be said that Jiang Xi was stronger than him. Because he used the height of his jump to slash down. And Jiang Xi didn't use any force. He just used his sword casually. Impossible. Wang Kai continued to move forward and suddenly slashed dozens of times. Clang! Clang! But they were all blocked by Jiang Xi. 33 slashes. Jiang Xi kindly reminded. Go to hell. Go to hell. Wang Kai flew into a rage and slashed out again. Swish. However, the saber missed its target. Puchi. But there was a soft sound. A sharp pain appeared in his chest. What a fast sword. Wang Kai lowered his head in disbelief. He saw that Jiang Xi's sword had pierced his heart. The battle is over. Jiang Xi wins. In front of the arena. Many people were guessing who would win or how long the battle would take. The final guess was one-sided. Most people thought that Wang Kai would win. The old students all knew that after training in the heaven-level training camp for a period of time, their strength would be improved to a certain extent. Wang Kai was an old student ranked 71st on the heaven list. His strength had been tested by time and he had rich combat experience. And Jiang Xi was only a new student who had just joined the heaven-level training camp for a day. Comparing the two, although they were both D-class, Jiang Xi was definitely much weaker. Chapter 99. Amidst the one-sided speculation. In the arena. Jiang Xi and Wang Kai opened their eyes at the same time. So fast. The audience was shocked. It hadn't even been 3 minutes. Usually, only when there was a huge disparity in strength between the two sides could the battle end quickly. Could it be that Jiang Xi was so weak that he couldn't even withstand a single blow from Wang Kai? Amidst the crowd's doubts, Jiang Xi jumped down from the arena with a smile. You won? Zhou Xing asked with his eyes wide open. Yes. Jiang Xi nodded naturally. The newcomer won. Hiss, gasps could be heard from all around, mixed with cries of surprise. Ha! Awesome! Zhou Xing laughed. Jiang Xi, you're my brother from now on. Yan Chao was very excited. He thought that Jiang Xi had avenged him. Shu Qiqi, Qian Hu, and the others also smiled. Of course, they were happy that one of their own had won. Jiang Xi remained calm in the face of all the praises because he didn't use much strength. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to show the same strength as when he challenged Ling Wanrode, he could have killed Wang Kai in one strike. On the other side, when Wang Kai came down from the arena in a daze, Qin Feng's face became extremely ugly. He was the one who paid for it. Now that he had lost the money, he had lost all his face. Seeing Jiang Xi smiling and chatting with others in the distance, Qin Feng felt that Jiang Xi was mocking him. Wang Kai, you owe me 1 billion. Qin Feng said to Wang Kai in a deep voice. His handsome face looked like it could squeeze water out of water. Young Master Qin, we agreed. Wang Kai was stunned. If I win, it's on me. If I lose, it's on you. Do you have a problem with that? Qin Feng's tone was tough. Wang Kai opened his mouth and lowered his head with a bitter expression. After Qin Feng finished speaking, he turned and left. He didn't want to stay here for a second longer. Riverward winning the bet was a great humiliation to him because he was the one who had single-handedly facilitated this matter. Hey, Qin Feng, thank you for your generosity. Jiang Xi shouted when he saw that Qin Feng was about to leave. This idiot. Qin Feng cursed in a low voice. He sped up and soon disappeared. At the same time, Qiao Sheng and Ma Yu exchanged glances, and the latter nodded gently. Qiao Sheng walked to Wang Kai's side and patted his shoulder. Brother Qiao. Wang Kai was still confused. I'll pay half of the money for you. You can settle the rest yourself, Qiao Sheng said with a smile. Thank you, Brother Qiao. Wang Kai was pleasantly surprised. Qiao Sheng smiled warmly and asked again, tell me the details of your fight with Jiang Xi. His sword was very fast, and then, Wang Kai didn't leave out any details and recounted the entire situation. After listening, Qiao Sheng was deep in thought. He looked at Jiang Xi who was chatting with the others in the distance. He exchanged glances with Ma Yu, and the latter nodded again. I suggest that we go for lunch to celebrate. What do you think? Qian Hu said with a smile. Ha, it's time to celebrate. I love eating and drinking for free. The students from Pak Sun province all agreed. Jiang Xi won the bet, so he should treat us, Shu Qiqi said at the end. Her tone was so gentle that it was hard to refuse. Jiang Xi agreed with a smile. Since he won 1 billion, they could eat as much as they wanted as long as they didn't die from overeating. The atmosphere was lively, and everyone was discussing which restaurant in town to eat at. At this time, Jiang Xi noticed that Qiao Sheng was walking toward him. He looked at him curiously. Student Riverward, I wonder if you're interested in sparring with me. You can decide the bet. 1 billion, 1 billion, or even 10 billion. Qiao Sheng smiled and looked friendly. Before Jiang Xi could reply, Shu Qiqi smiled and said, Qiao Sheng, why don't I bet with you? You can decide the bet. 1 billion, 1 billion, 10 billion, or even 100 billion. Seventh sister, you must be joking. You're number 2 on the heaven leaderboard. I'm no match for you. Qiao Sheng laughed dryly. Shu Qiqi's tone changed and she reprimanded, you know that I'm number 2 on the heaven leaderboard. You're a senior on the heaven leaderboard, and you want to compete with a newbie? Where's the courage of a martial artist? You only know how to bully the weak and fear the strong. After being reprimanded, Qiao Sheng stood awkwardly on the spot. He was in a dilemma. Shu Qiqi, Qiao Sheng just wants to have a friendly exchange with the newbie. Why are you so angry? Ma Yu walked forward and helped Qiao Sheng out of his predicament with a smile. He was number 5 on the heaven leaderboard. His strength was similar to Shu Qiqi's. Friendly exchange? Sure, let's have a spar. Shu Qiqi glanced at Ma Yu. Ma Yu maintained his smile and shook his head. I'm busy today. Next time. After saying that, he glanced at Qiao Sheng. The two of them turned and walked out of Tianyuan Pavilion. Wang Kai, who was left behind, quickly followed behind. Looking at their backs, Jiang Xi frowned slightly. These people had ulterior motives. They seemed to have come prepared. They didn't seem to be in cahoots with Qin Feng. However, he couldn't figure out what their motive was. Jiang Xi felt helpless. He had only been in the heaven-level training camp for a day. Sure enough, one shouldn't be in the limelight. The bird that sticks out will be shot. The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. It was hard to be a genius. In the end, everyone gathered at a restaurant called Lee's Mountain Delicacies Restaurant. Jiang Xi was generous for once. Before ordering, he told everyone to eat to their heart's content and just pick the most expensive one. Wasn't it just eating? Could he eat until he became poor? However, when Jiang Xi saw the menu, he fell silent. Steamed bear paw. Ingredients from Class A Earth bear. Price, $3.5 billion new moon dollars. Fungus snake soup. Ingredients from Class A silver moon snake. Paired with an 8-year black mountain fungus. Price, 32 new moon dollars. Roasted deer breast. Ingredients from Class A 5-colored deer. Price, $3.8 billion new moon dollars. Jiang Xi suddenly remembered that this camp town was Genten Budokan's cultivation base. He had underestimated the consumption level here. The price of one dish was higher than his entire net worth. This time, he had lost a lot of face. Excuse me, could I leave? Luckily, everyone was reasonable. Moreover, A-class monster meat was not something that just anyone could enjoy. Among the students from Pak Sun Province, only Shu Qiqi, who was ranked 2nd on the Heaven Leaderboard, and another fellow villager who was ranked 13th on the Heaven Leaderboard were Class B warriors. Their bodies could withstand the high-intensity energy contained in Class A monster meat. However, the two of them didn't embarrass Jiang Xi and ordered dishes made with Class C monster meat. In the end, they were full. More than a dozen people spent a little more than 100 million. When paying the bill, Jiang Xi actually had a thought that it wasn't too expensive. Then, he quickly got rid of this scary thought. When did he become so extravagant? He spent 100 million on a meal. If Jiang Dudu knew about this, wouldn't she explode immediately? It's better not to tell her. Jiang Xi secretly decided. When he returned to Tianyuan District's Villa 101, it was already 4 in the afternoon. He received a call from Jiang Dudu. A hologram of Jiang Dudu appeared. She looked no different from a real person. Chapter 100. Jiang Dudu had not started school yet. She was training in the martial arts center. How was it, brother? Did you win? Jiang Dudu asked immediately. It was easy. It was like cutting vegetables. Jiang Xi was showing off. Keep bragging. It's definitely not that easy. Your expression is not right. Jiang Dudu noticed the problem. Jiang Xi, you always have this expression when you're feeling guilty. Tell me, what's the matter? Jiang Dudu looked calm. Jiang Xi sighed in his heart. She was indeed the person who knew him the best. Hence, he said in a low voice, I treated someone to a meal and spent 100 million. Jiang Dudu was silent for a moment. Jiang Xi, you've changed. How have I changed? Explain it to me clearly. You never spent money recklessly in the past. In the past, you had to be very careful when you bought 3 buns for 1 yuan. In the past, you had to save for a week to buy me a bag of potato chips. In the past, you saved for 6 years to buy a house. In the past, stop. I was wrong. I was wrong, okay. What was wrong? I shouldn't have spent money recklessly. It seems that you haven't realized your mistake. What the fuck, was this a 13-year-old, oh no, a 14-year-old girl? You shouldn't have thought of hiding this matter. Jiang Dudu was expressionless. I'm very sad. In the next second, Jiang Dudu hung up the phone. Her virtual shadow suddenly disappeared in front of Jiang Xi. Hello. Jiang Xi was dumbfounded. Was this girl's temper so bad now? Was this a rebellious mentality unique to adolescence? He hurriedly called back, but the call was hung up. He called again, but the call was hung up again. It was not until 8:00 that Jiang Xi called Jiang Dudu again. It was not until 12:00 that he finally managed to appease Jiang Dudu. Then, he accompanied her to watch a horror movie for an entire night before this matter was completely settled. Therefore, the next day, Jiang Xi was not in good spirits and had two big dark circles under his eyes. Fortunately, the new school year hadn't officially started yet. He didn't have anything important to do now, so his current state didn't affect anything. Currently, the most important task was to find a martial arts teacher. He had already asked Shu Qiqi about this during lunch yesterday. Shu Qiqi was a veteran student ranked second on the Heaven leaderboard. She knew a lot about the instructors. She even knew some of the instructors' secret information. Under Shu Qiqi's guidance, Jiang Xi had a definite goal in choosing a martial arts teacher. He opened the Xian Tian forum and entered the Heaven-level training camp section. In the teaching column, Jiang Xi found the name of an A-rank martial arts instructor. Yu Lin, A-rank martial arts expert in swordsmanship. In 1 year, he hunted and killed 3 A-rank martial arts experts from the Liberal Alliance. The simple introduction seemed similar to the other instructors. However, Jiang Xi learned some secret information about Yu Lin from Shu Qiqi. That year, after Yu Lin hunted and killed 3 A-rank martial arts experts from the Liberal Alliance, he successfully escaped from the joint pursuit of 2 directors of the Liberal Alliance. The 13 directors of the Liberal Alliance were all top-notch A-rank martial arts experts. They were only one step away from the A-rank realm and were experts standing at the peak of martial arts. The fact that Yu Lin could escape the joint pursuit of 2 directors of the Liberal Alliance meant that his strength was about the same as a top-notch A-rank martial arts expert. Among the 23 instructors of the Heaven-level training camp, he was definitely one of the strongest. And most importantly, Yu Lin was also an expert in swordsmanship. This was written in the character introduction of the teaching column, but it was not reflected. Jiang Xi quickly submitted the apprenticeship application. Apprenticeship was a two-way process. After he applied, he still needed Yu Lin's approval. "I don't know if I can pass." Jiang Xi shook his head. He learned from Shu Qiqi that Yu Lin had a bad temper and rarely accepted disciples in recent years. After doing this, Jiang Xi did not pay too much attention to it. He turned around and practiced martial arts. This was because practicing martial arts also gave him experience points. Experience points were the fundamental source of his strength improvement. He could not relax for even a moment during lunch. Yu Lin received some feedback and replied with an email. 2:00 in the afternoon. Arrive at number 3 Shanchuiyuan. Jiang Xi smiled. His luck was not bad. Because according to Shu Qiqi's words, the matter of apprenticeship also depended on luck. The instructors' whereabouts were uncertain. They often went to the wilderness to practice. So after he applied just now, he put it aside. He did not expect that Yu Lin would coincidentally be in the training camp. Shanchuiyuan was the place where the instructors of the sky-level training camp lived. It was surrounded by mountains and rivers. The environment was a level higher than Tianyuan district. It was a manor. In order to show his respect, Jiang Xi arrived at number 3 Shanchuiyuan 10 minutes early. At this time, Yu Lin was waiting for him in the manor's training field. In the empty training field, Jiang Xi saw Yu Lin. He saw a man with a determined face and short hair. He was slender and gave people a cold feeling. It was difficult to get close to him. However, with his sharp senses, Jiang Xi felt a strong threat from Yu Lin. When Yu Lin looked at people, it was like a beast staring at its prey. "Teacher." Jiang Xi bowed respectfully. "It's not time to call me teacher yet." Yu Lin's voice was also very cold. Jiang Xi maintained a smile. He thought to himself that it was not easy to communicate. Yu Lin was very direct. He asked, "I've seen your information. Since you practice the 9 elements sword art, then tell me about your understanding of the fast sword." This should be considered an interview. Jiang Xi was already prepared. He already had an answer in his heart, but he did not answer rashly. That would make him seem immature. He pretended to ponder. After thinking for a while, he replied, "In the world of martial arts, there is nothing that cannot be overcome. Only speed cannot be overcome." It was obvious that Yulin's cold face was beginning to show shock, and the shock was getting stronger and stronger. In the world of martial arts, there is nothing that cannot be overcome. Only speed cannot be overcome. He repeated Jiang Xi's words in a low voice many times. Jiang Xi scratched his head. Looking at Yulin's shocked face, did this not exist in this era? What a classic line. After a while, Yulin came back to his senses. The expression on his face became much gentler. He said, "In the future, if you have any doubts about your cultivation, you can come to me at any time. If I'm not here, you can email me first. When I have time, I'll answer it for you." "Thank you, teacher." Jiang Xi was beaming with joy. He had successfully acknowledged him as his teacher. "Now, use the 9 elements sword art to attack me with all your strength." Yulin took 2 long swords from the weapon rack beside him. He threw one of them to Jiang Xi. It was the C-class Shadow Slayer sword. Seeing this sword, Jiang Xi understood. Yulin already knew about him. He even knew what sword he usually used. Attack with all his strength? Jiang Xi gently lifted the long sword and suddenly rushed out. The long sword was as fast as lightning. The misty sword shadow on the sword was close to half a foot. He used the moves of the 9 elements sword art. Whoosh! The 300 meters per second speed also increased the power of the 9 elements sword art. The sword instantly arrived in front of Yulin. He stabbed dozens of times in a row. Chapter 101. Ding, ding, ding. Yulin was only defending, but the sword in his hand was both fast and slow, strangely blocking Jiang Xi's continuous attacks. Is this a fast sword? Jiang Xi was extremely shocked. From the looks of it, Yulin did not increase his speed at all, and even slowed down in the middle. But the speed of the sword was faster than his. What made Jiang Xi feel the most inconceivable was that the power Yulin used just now was the same as his, the power of a D-class fighter. This was the first time Jiang Xi encountered a situation where he was crushed by someone of the same class. Yes, crushed. Because Yulin's performance was very relaxed. Without using the wind shadow step, I am not his opponent at all. Jiang Xi's face was solemn. Yulin finally revealed a smile and said, "What you said just now was the essence of fast sword and speed, but can blindly fast really achieve the fastest speed?" These words made Jiang Xi puzzled. Didn't fast sword make the speed faster and faster? Watch carefully. As Yulin spoke, his sword suddenly pierced out. The sword vibrated the air and made a buzzing sound. The misty sword shadow on the sword was also half a foot thick. This is the full power of a D-class martial artist, the sword strike I unleashed. Jiang Xi nodded lightly. He could also reach this level with the strength of a D-class fighter. And if he used the wind shadow step, it would be even stronger. The speed of the sword could easily break through the sound barrier and surpass the speed of sound. Then take a look at this sword. As he spoke, Yulin first slowed down and retracted his sword, then suddenly accelerated and pierced out. Wang! This sword exceeded the speed of sound, and the misty sword shadow on the sword was 1 foot thick. The power was amazing. Jiang Xi opened his eyes wide. What happened? He could confirm that the power Yulin used was not different from the previous sword. But this sword actually broke through the sound barrier easily, and had the attack power of a top-notch C-class fighter. Rhythm. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. Yes, when Yulin attacked just now, there was a change in the speed and rhythm. Have you thought it through? Yulin asked with a smile. Just now, teacher was accumulating power, so when the sword was thrown out, its speed increased a second time, and there was a change in the rhythm. Jiang Xi nodded. Not bad, quick sword. You must pay attention to the rhythm. You have to remember that if you retract your fist and throw it out again, it will be more powerful. Quick sword that emphasizes speed is also the same. Yulin revealed a satisfied smile. He was very satisfied with Jiang Xi's comprehension ability. Next, under the guidance of Yulin, Jiang Xi began to learn how to grasp the rhythm of the fast sword. It seemed simple, but it was difficult to learn. This was because when the speed of the sword reached a certain level, it was very difficult to change the rhythm in an instant. Jiang Xi tried hundreds of times, but to no avail. Alright, that's all for today. At 9:00 in the evening, Yulin ended his lecture. Jiang Xi, however, was not satisfied. Also, although you are young and full of energy, your body always has its limits. You still have to pay more attention to control yourself. The ancients talked about refining energy into qi and conserving energy. It's not without reason, Yulin said in a low voice. What could Jiang Xi say? He could not say that he was like this because he watched a ghost movie the whole night, right? Being afraid of ghosts was a very embarrassing thing. He was originally in a good mood, but in the end, he left Mountain View Park with a depressed mood. Jiang Xi secretly decided that if Jiang Daoda asked him to watch a movie the next time, he would resolutely say no. However, even though he was depressed, he was very satisfied with what he had learned today. Choosing Yulin as his martial arts teacher was the right choice. In the past, if he wanted to break through the sound barrier with his sword, he had to rely on the speed of his movement to do so. However, because of Feng Xian's threat, he had to hide his true movement speed and could not fully use the wind shadow steps. This caused the power of his swordsmanship to be reduced by a lot. He could only barely be considered a peak C class. But now, he had a new method. If he could master the fast sword rhythm that Yulin taught him, even if he only used a small part of the wind shadow steps, he might still have B-class combat power. New Moon Year 93, February 1st, the weather was clear. In the blink of an eye, it was a new month. The new school year of the heaven-level training camp had officially begun. Although the sun hung high in the sky, the temperature in the western plateau was still very low. However, everyone was a martial artist. The cold weather was nothing. At the beginning of the new school year, there was no grand opening ceremony. The new students of the 4 major training camps had already learned about the details of their respective training camps in their respective sections on the Xian Tian Forum. In general, the training camps were free to cultivate the students. Other than providing the necessary martial arts teachers and various cultivation resources, the rest of the development depended on the individual's ability. The only thing that spurred the students forward was the rankings of each training camp. Heaven ranking, Earth ranking, Xian ranking, and Huang ranking. Only the higher the ranking, the more cultivation resources one could obtain. For example, if the students of the Earth level, Xian level, and Huang level training camp reached a certain rank in the annual cumulative ranking at the end of the year, they could be promoted to a higher level training camp and have better development. Jiang Xi also wanted to get a good ranking on the Heaven ranking. After all, it was related to the opportunity to use the Ling Wan Road, which represented experience points. The Heaven ranking was arranged according to the actual combat results, which were determined by the points. The way to obtain points was also very simple. There were mainly 2 ways. First, by hunting monsters, one could obtain original points. F-class monsters were 1 point, E-class monsters were 10 points, D-class monsters were 100 points, C-class monsters were 1,000 points, B-class monsters were 10,000 points, A-class monsters were 100,000 points. Second, by going through the Ling Wan Road, one could obtain a multiplier of points. Ling Wan Road had a total of 9 steps. The corresponding multiplier from low to high was 1 to 9 times. If the student did not pass the illusion trial on a certain step, the multiplier would also be divided in detail. For example, Jiang Xi wanted to go to the fourth step. There were a total of 100 monsters in the trial. In the end, he did not pass and only killed 10. The multiplier of points obtained would be 3. 1 times. The final heaven ranking points were the original points obtained from hunting monsters, multiplied by the multiplier of the Ling 1 road multiplier. In fact, there is only one principle, and that is strength. The strong are respected. Jiang Xi saw the essence of the matter clearly. Hunting monsters required strength. Going through the Ling 1 road also required strength. There were a total of 101 students in the heaven level training camp. They were divided according to the student number. Students with odd numbers are allowed to go out and hunt monsters every month on the odd number. On the other hand, the students with the same number would be sent out. If there was a 31st in the month, or a 29th in February, there was no need to go out. In this way, everyone would spend half of their time in the wilderness, and the other half in the training camp. Jiang Xi's student number was 9321. His number was odd, and he went out every month. Today was the 1st of February. He needed to leave the camp town and go to the wilderness to hunt monsters. There was also a designated location to hunt monsters. It was Ruin 99, which was not far from the camp town. Ruin 99 was the only medium-large ruined city on the plateau. Because it was close to the Kunlun Mountains, the monster density in this ruined city was very high. At the same time, there were many A-class monsters gathered there. In terms of danger, it was not inferior to the Ruin 09 that Jiang Xi had gone to. Chapter 102. One thing to note was that students were forbidden from killing each other in the wild. They were also forbidden from trading monster materials in private because monster materials were the proof of gaining points. If anyone violated these 2 rules, they would be kicked out of the training camp and would never be recruited again. For this reason, Genten Budokan had specially arranged a satellite to monitor Ruin 99 and the camp town. Hence, no students dared to violate the rules. Early in the morning, Jiang Xi was fully armed. He stepped out of Tianyuan residential area and prepared to head to Ruin 99 in the wild. At that moment, he heard a familiar bell ring. When he turned around, he was stunned. Haning Shue. Not far from Tianyuan residential area was Earth residential area, where the students of the Earth level training camp lived. Haning Shue was wearing a light-colored martial artist combat uniform. She was dressed neatly and had a smile on her face as she walked toward Jiang Xi from the entrance of Earth residential area. "Why are you here?" Jiang Xi asked. "There's a spot in our school for the Earth level training camp. I signed up, but I didn't expect to pass, so I came here," Haning Shue said with a smile. Her explanation was simple. "Amazing," Jiang Xi praised. "I'm not as good as you." Haning Shue shook her head. "Ha, let's talk next time. I'm going to the wild. Be careful." "Thank you." Jiang Xi waved goodbye. Haning Shue watched Jiang Xi leave until Jiang Xi could no longer be seen. Then, she took a deep breath and walked toward Earth Pavilion. That was where the students of the Earth level training camp usually trained. The 2 of them did not notice that Qin Feng was glaring at them from behind a villa in Tianyuan residential area not far away. His student number was odd, and he was going to hunt monsters in the wild today. He did not expect to see a scene that made him angry before he even walked out of Tianyuan residential area. That bitch actually came to the training camp. Is she here for Jiang Xi? The Qin and Haning Shue families intended for him to be together with Haning Shue. Therefore, Qin Feng had always regarded Haning Shue as his own and was full of strong possessiveness. However, after a few interactions, he found that Haning Shue had always been in love with Jiang Xi. This discovery made him furious. That was why he had been targeting Jiang Xi. Just you wait, you two bitches. Qin Feng thought bitterly. At the same time, in a sealed room in Villa 10 of the Heaven Level Training Camp, Ma Yu, ranked 5th on the Heaven list, and Xiao Sheng, ranked 40th on the Heaven list, seemed to be waiting for something. Not long after, Ma Yu's tactical communications watch rang, and he quickly picked it up. A hologram of a person appeared in front of them. The head was blurry, and they couldn't see the face clearly. Greetings, Director. Ma Yu and Xiao Sheng bowed respectfully at the same time. Have you discovered anything in the past few days? The hologram's voice had been specially processed and was very hoarse. Nothing. Since the end of the bet, he has been training with Instructor Yulin and rarely goes out, Ma Yu replied. Continue to keep an eye on him and find an opportunity to probe him. The hologram's expression didn't change. Yes. Also, one of the Alliance's targets, Han Ningxue, has appeared in the Heaven Level Training Camp. Find an opportunity to investigate the situation and wait for further orders. Yes. After the call ended, Ma Yu and Xiao Sheng's expressions were serious. The missions given by the higher-ups were getting heavier and heavier. Brother Ma, is this Director Feng Xian, an A-rank fighter from the Jianghai Prefecture? Xiao Sheng asked tentatively. The last order they received was to investigate Jiang Xi's situation and confirm whether Jiang Xi's current movement technique had exceeded the speed of sound. This made them think of the huge bounty that had caused a huge uproar some time ago. It's hard to say. The identities of the 13 directors of the Liberal Alliance are very mysterious. Although Feng Xian issued a bounty through the Liberal Alliance, it doesn't mean that he's a director. After all, anyone can issue missions and bounties through the Liberal Alliance. Ma Yu shook his head. But this Han Ningxue is a hot potato. Why did she come to the Heaven Level Training Camp? How troublesome. Ma Yu sighed again. We have to be more careful in the future. Xiao Sheng bitterly smiled. Pak Sun Province, Han family. The head of the family, Han Chuan, stood in front of the hall with his hands behind his back. His expression was not good. Standing in front of the hall was his eldest son, Han Lei. Han Lei lowered his head, feeling a little ashamed. You can't even keep an eye on a person. Trash. Han Chuan suddenly scolded. Han Lei didn't dare to speak. At this time, a gray-clothed martial artist quickly walked in from outside the hall. How is it? Did you find Ningxue? Han Chuan quickly asked. The gray-clothed martial artist respectfully said, I found her. Yesterday, Miss Ningxue entered the Gen 10 Budokan Heaven Level Training Camp through her connections with the Shujia. Shujia. Han Chuan had a headache. The Han family and the Shujia were connected by marriage. To be more specific, his mother, Han Lei, and Han Ningxue's grandmother, was a member of the Shujia. Forget it. Let her be. She can't always be locked up in Pak Sun Province. The Gen 10 Budokan's training camp is not a problem. Han Chuan helplessly shook his head. Only Han Lei's eyes flashed with a trace of doubt. He remembered that Jiang Xi had just entered the Heaven Level Training Camp not long ago. Ruin 99. Inside an abandoned factory, a humongous C-grade mountain mastiff opened its bloody mouth and rushed towards Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi's footwork changed mysteriously. His body was extremely graceful as he moved continuously like the wind. Then, he suddenly jumped up and swung his C-grade killer shadow sword. The sword flashed and vibrated the air as it swept past the mountain mastiff's neck like lightning. Crash! A huge wound appeared. As the mountain mastiff ran uncontrollably, red blood spilled all over the ground. Boom! The 7-meter-tall mountain mastiff crashed heavily into the wall of the abandoned factory, causing a cloud of dust to rise. You have killed a C-grade monster. Experience points plus 70, 1 C-class monster for 1000 origin points. My hunting speed should be okay. Jiang Xi quickly cut off the monster materials from the mountain mastiff and put them into his backpack. These monster materials were proof of points. After he obtained points, he could directly sell them to the Xian Tian's shop. Ruin 99 was very big, and the density of monsters was very high. In addition, only the students of the Heaven-level training camp and the Earth-level training camp came here to hunt monsters. Therefore, Jiang Xi easily found his next target, a C-grade snow-spotted panther. Hunt. Harvest. Next. Jiang Xi did not stop for a moment. He did not return to the training camp until midnight. The next day, he went to the mountain gardens again to find his teacher, Yulin, to teach him swordsmanship. The fast sword rhythm that Yulin showed him was not easy to grasp. He practiced for nearly 10 days and did not succeed once. There was no other way. He could only keep practicing. Just like that, Jiang Xi completely entered a state of cultivation. In other words, all the students of the Heaven-level training camp were working hard to cultivate and hunt monsters. No one was relaxing and having fun. Therefore, Jiang Xi also saw the crazy performance of these geniuses. He was working so hard to hunt monsters, but his ranking on the Heaven leaderboard rose very slowly. The difficulty of climbing the Heaven leaderboard was higher than he thought. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of the month. February's Heaven leaderboard ranking was about to be confirmed. Chapter 103. New Moon Era, February 28th, the last day of the month. Jiang Xi was training in the training camp today. Early in the morning, after finishing his daily training on the villa's balcony, he went out to mountain gardens. He felt that he was about to master the rhythm of the fast sword. Yesterday, when he was hunting monsters in Ruin 99, he almost managed to change the rhythm of the sword instantly. In Tianyuan district, Jiang Xi met Yan Chao, who came to the training camp with him. From afar, Yan Chao shouted, "Jiang Gu, are you going to find instructor Yulin?" "Yeah, I see that you're doing well. It's only been a month, and you're already ranked 89th on the Heaven leaderboard," Jiang Xi laughed. "Jiang Gu, don't mock me. You're ranked 74th on the Heaven leaderboard. Is there a need for you to compliment me?" Yan Chao shook his head in horror. Jiang Xi laughed. After spending so much time together, he realized that Yan Chao, who was originally a bit shy, actually had a funny side to him. "Alright, I'm in a hurry. If I'm late, the instructor will scold me." Yan Chao looked at Jiang Xi with respect and envy as he left. He respected Jiang Xi because Jiang Xi had won the bet against Wang Kai. In his eyes, Jiang Xi had avenged him. Although he was 2 years older than Jiang Xi, he still respectfully called Jiang Xi Jiang Gu. He also envied Jiang Xi's strength. Jiang Xi was 2 years younger than him, but the talent and strength he displayed were amazing. The new students of the Heaven-level training camp were usually ranked in the bottom 20 on the Heaven leaderboard in the first month after entering the training camp. This was because they couldn't compete with the older students. The older students were trained with the resources of the Heaven-level training camp, so their strength was far beyond the new students. Also, the new students were not familiar with the environment in Ruin 99, so their efficiency in killing monsters was much lower than that of the veteran students. In Lingwan Road's Illusory Realm trial, the new students were even worse off. They basically hovered between the first and second stage, unable to obtain a satisfactory multiplier of points. All in all, the first month or even the first year in the Heaven-level training camp was very difficult for new students. However, Jiang Xi had a different reaction. In the first month, he had reached 74th place on the Heaven leaderboard. His ranking was even higher than that of the senior students. This performance shocked all the trainees and instructors in the Heaven-level training camp. It had been many years since such a phenomenal student had appeared in the Sky-level training camp. Along the way, there were many students who saw Riverward and cast curious and surprised gazes at him. Jiang Xi was already used to it. Soon, he arrived at Yulin's manor, number 3 Shanchuiyuan. At this moment, Yulin was already waiting for him. "Teacher, Jiang Xi bowed respectfully. "You're 3 minutes later than usual," Yulin said with a serious expression. "I met a friend on the way, so we chatted for a while," Jiang Xi said with a smile. After spending so much time together, he realized that even though Yulin looked strict on the surface, he had a sharp tongue but a soft heart. "Let's start today's training. I've analyzed your sword moves from a few days ago and found that there's a small movement that needs to be adjusted." As Yulin spoke, he used the computer in the training field to show a moving hologram. It was a demonstration of Jiang Xi's sword moves from a few days ago. Yulin had slowed down the speed of the projection by 10 times, allowing Jiang Xi to clearly see the problem with his movements when he attacked with his sword. Jiang Xi watched carefully. He had seen similar lessons many times. Under Yulin's serious and rigorous teaching, his understanding and mastery of the quick sword had improved a lot. Swish swish. After the demonstration, Jiang Xi began to constantly move his sword and adjust the movement problems he found. 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. He practiced for a whole day. Only the movements of moving the sword and withdrawing the sword did not feel boring. After 8:00 in the evening, the two finished their training. "It's still not enough," Jiang Xi said with a little disappointment. "Don't be anxious. This kind of detailed control training, back then, I also practiced for a year before I was able to grasp the rhythm of this kind of fast sword. Your current speed of improvement has already far surpassed mine." Yulin comforted. Jiang Xi nodded gently. He really couldn't be impatient. "Are you going to challenge the Lingwan Road tonight?" Before leaving, Yulin asked. "Well, there are only 28 days in February. If I don't go now, I won't have a chance." Jiang Xi smiled. "Well, try to pass the 4th stage and show them." Yulin's face had a rare smile. He was very satisfied with Jiang Xi's performance. It had only been a month, and he had already reached such a high rank on the heaven ranking. Moreover, Yulin knew that Jiang Xi had not challenged the Lingwan Road this month. Jiang Xi's current points multiplier was obtained when he had just entered the training camp and passed the 3rd stage of the Lingwan Road test. No one else in the training camp knew about this. During this period, Yulin had been training Jiang Xi. He knew very well that Jiang Xi's strength had increased by a lot in a month. The training camp is going to be lively. Yulin was looking forward to it. Jiang Xi left Shanshui Park. As he walked towards Tianyuan Pavilion, he was talking to Jiang Daodu. "Brother, you're too hypocritical. You're always playing this kind of trick of pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Hey, are you my sister?" Jiang Xi was unhappy. "Look, I'm telling the truth, and you're unhappy. What the hell, it's all bullshit. I have limited chances to challenge the Spirit Cloud Path this month, so I'll definitely wait until the end of the month before using it. That way, I'll be able to show the increase in strength this month, right?" Sophistry. You're being unreasonable. You're the unreasonable one. You told me last time that you have 2 chances to challenge the Lingwan Road this month. Did I say that? Jiang Xi thought about it. Okay, he did mention it to Jiang Daodu once. He was a new trainee, and in the first month of the training camp, he had 2 chances to challenge the Lingwan Road. One of the chances had no time limit, and if he failed, he would have to quit. This was a privilege that new trainees only had in the first month. As new trainees had just arrived, they did not have the results of the Lingwan Road test. They had to challenge it once to determine their original results. As for the remaining chance, it was given to him by being ranked 101 on the heaven list. He had 2 hours, nothing to say, right? Jiang Xi, you've changed. You've become insidious. Jiang Daodu said again when she saw Jiang Xi's silence. Jiang Daodu, can't we still play happily? Fuck. Jiang Xi found it hard to defend himself. I'm not pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. I just want to be steady and low-key. After walking to Tianyuan Pavilion, Jiang Xi happily hung up the phone. Jiang Daodu had changed. The little girl was becoming more and more difficult to deal with. It was 9:00 in the evening, and today was the last day of February. Everyone's chances to use the Lingwan Road had almost been used up. Presumably, no one was cultivating on the Lingwan Road. This was also the reason why he chose to challenge the Lingwan Road at this time. He did not want to attract attention. When he came to the second floor, Jiang Xi found that the room on the Lingwan Road was locked, indicating that someone was using it. Chapter 104. There's still someone here. Jiang Xi looked at the time again. It was 8:55 p.m. There's still 5 minutes left. In order to rationalize the training time of the trainees, the training camp stipulated that if the trainees wanted to challenge Lingwan Road, they must first make an appointment online. Jiang Xi's appointment was at 9 p.m. After waiting for a while, the A-grade alloy door slowly opened. A petite woman walked out from inside. When she saw Jiang Xi, she was stunned. "Hello, Junior Jiang Xi," she greeted. "Hello, Senior Sister." Jiang Xi smiled and walked into the room on Lingwan Road. He still remembered this senior sister. When he first came to Lingwan Road, he also met her. He had to say that it was fate. He had only come here twice, and he ended up meeting this senior sister. The A-grade alloy door closed again. The woman was still in a daze. After a while, she came back to her senses. He went in. Could it be that Junior Jiang Xi hasn't challenged Lingwan Road this month? Doesn't that mean that his ranking on the heaven list still has room for improvement? Now that the trainees who were hunting monsters in the wilderness have basically all returned, their rankings can't change anymore. He's now ranked 74th on the heaven list. If his results on Lingwan Road improve a little, then... Oh my god! It was already phenomenal for a new trainee to rush to the top 80 in the first month. If his ranking was higher, then it could not be described as phenomenal. The woman couldn't help but cover her mouth. Her face was full of shock. Hurry up and post it on the forum. No one will know about it now. Let's ride on the popularity. Soon, the popularity of a new post on the Xian Tian forum increased steadily. It finally became the top post on the Xian Tian forum. The Xian Tian forum post was not only seen by the trainees of the heaven-level training camp. As long as one was a Gen 10 Budokan warrior, no matter where they were, they could see this post. Pak Sun Province Gen 10 Budokan Branch, Building 1, Lu Shan's office. PFFF, Lu Shan was drinking water when he suddenly saw this post. He was so shocked that he spat out a mouthful of water. Jiang Xi, this brat, is trying to stir up trouble. As he spoke, he quickly contacted Qin Yuan, the dojo master. Dojo master, boss, something big has happened. I already know. On the other side of the phone, Qin Yuan hung up after saying a few words. He could vaguely hear the roar of a beast from the other side of the phone. By the time Lu Shan reacted, Qin Yuan was still cultivating in the wilderness. Not only them, but also Jiang Sheng, who was resting at home, and Zhang Wei, who had recently joined Gen 10 Budokan, saw the post and were shocked by Jiang Xi's behavior. Ever since Jiang Xi had joined the heaven-level training camp, they had learned some things about the heaven-level training camp through Lu Shan. He knew very well how shocking what Jiang Xi was doing was. Good job, Jiang Xi. They were cheering for Jiang Xi from the bottom of their hearts. At the same time, the camp town was in an uproar. As long as the trainees of the 4 training camps saw the post, whether they were cultivating or doing something else, they immediately stopped what they were doing. They went to the entrance to Tianyuan district, where there was a hologram of the heaven-level ranking that updated the real-time ranking information. Some trainees of the heaven-level training camp ran directly to Tianyuan Pavilion. They could enter, but the trainees of the other 3 training camps could not. Soon, thousands of people gathered at the entrance to Tianyuan district. It was very lively. Impossible. How can he not challenge Lingwan Road? I don't believe it. In front of the hologram of the heaven-level ranking, Qin Feng's handsome face turned pale. He was very confident. Today was the last day of February, and he was ranked 81st on the heaven-level ranking. If it weren't for Jiang Xi, he would be the first among the new trainees this year. Even if Jiang Xi got first place, Qin Feng felt that there was not much difference between him and Jiang Xi. One was ranked 74th, and the other was ranked 81st. There was only a difference of 7 places. But now, someone told him that Jiang Xi had a chance to make a breakthrough. Then the situation would be different. Staring at the heaven-level ranking for a while, Qin Feng's eyes became gloomy, and his heart was filled with hatred. In another place, Ma Yu and Xiao Xing stood in the crowd, frowning slightly. No one knew what they were thinking. At this time, the trainees of the heaven-level training camp in Pak Sun province had all arrived at Tianyuan Pavilion. They were waiting outside the room on Lingwan Road. Jiang Xi is going to do something big. Zhou Xing was speechless. Jiang Gu is awesome. Yan Chao had become a die-hard fan. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Qian Hu kept shaking his head. To the side, Xu Qiqi and Han Ningxue stood side by side. At first glance, one could see that the two looked similar. Cousin, thank you. Han Ningxue smiled. She was a trainee of the Earth-level training camp. According to the rules, she was not allowed to enter Tianyuan Pavilion, but Xu Qiqi was ranked 2nd on the heaven-level ranking. No one would say anything if she brought someone in. You. Is this worth it? Xu Qiqi smiled helplessly. Whether it's worth it or not depends on what you do. If you don't do it, you'll have to live with regret. Han Ningxue's expression was firm. Let's not talk about this. You have a good eye. Xu Qiqi praised. Of course. Han Ningxue took a deep breath. The bell on her right wrist rang, just like her nervous heart. In a large enclosed room, Jiang Xi stood in front of Lingwan Road. 9 steps had been carved out of the boulder that had been eroded by time. The simple appearance hid an inexplicable charm. After looking at it for a long time, one could not help but be intoxicated. This was the second time Jiang Xi had stepped onto Lingwan Road. Before officially challenging it, he first did a small test. After stepping on the first step, he closed his eyes. After 2 or 3 seconds, he opened his eyes again and did not enter the illusion. As expected. Jiang Xi smiled and shook his head, laughing at himself for being greedy again. The experience points for each step of Lingwan Road could only be obtained once. As for whether the experience points could only be obtained after successfully challenging it, this was the second question to be verified. Jiang Xi went up 3 steps in a row and stepped onto the 4th step. He closed his eyes again, and his spiritual consciousness appeared in the familiar illusory space with a whirl of the sky and earth. After selecting the weapons and equipment, after a minute, the clear female voice sounded again, "Trial taker, please kill 100 Herculean demonic apes within an hour." Jiang Xi's eyes focused slightly. On the prairie in front of him, 100 curly-haired gorillas appeared out of thin air 1,000 meters away. Their momentum was similar to the stage 1 Herculean demonic apes, all of them level D. However, Jiang Xi knew that the attacks of these Herculean demonic apes were more mysterious. They were comparable to the perfection of advanced martial arts. Before the trial began, he took a look at the experience points panel. Level: Bone Honing Level D 1040011000. Cultivation Method: 9 Elements Heart Technique. Martial Arts: 9 Elements Sword Technique, combine 558130000. Wind Shadow Step, combine 266140000. Force Exertion, 6, 72 Experience Points, 70977. This was the result of his 1 month of cultivation. Wind Shadow Step had finally reached the combine realm. Unfortunately, he still had to pay attention to hiding the fact that he was good at speed. To pass the stage 4 illusion trial, the biggest reliance was still the 9 elements sword technique. Chapter 105. Jiang Xi was very clear that under the circumstances of only relying on the 9 elemental sword technique, if only comparing the data, the strength of the demonic ape was actually about the same as him. They both had the body of a top D class, and only their martial arts were a little weaker. The demonic ape was at the peak of the advanced martial arts, while Jiang Xi was at the initial stage of the 9 elemental sword technique. But the problem was that there were 100 demonic apes. Let the trial begin. With a sound, the 100 demonic apes on the grassland immediately pounded their chests and roared towards the sky. Roar! With a rumbling sound, their ferocious flames overflowed as they pounced towards Jiang Xi. There were also some that leaped high, their thick and long arms sweeping across with a whistling sound, as if it was some kind of mysterious staff technique with astonishing power. It's not easy. Jiang Xi sighed softly, and then became serious. In his hand, an ancient long sword that was similar to the slaughtering shadow sword, was gently raised. Swish! With a leap, his steps were graceful as he rushed towards the group of demonic apes. In the blink of an eye, he rushed into the group of beasts. The long sword was as fast as lightning, either stabbing, slashing, or lifting. The continuous attacks landed on the demonic ape's body, bringing about a flower of blood. Boom! Boom! But it was obvious that the 4th stage demonic ape was even more violent. The time and energy spent to kill a demonic ape was several times more than the 1st stage of the illusion space. Under the 300m speed bonus, the damage of the sword technique was not so impressive. He had just killed more than 30 demonic apes. Bang! 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 In a moment of carelessness, the long arms of a few demonic apes around him swept towards Jiang Xi. The powerful force directly sent him flying. A few bones in his body were broken. Fortunately, he did not injure any important parts, so it did not affect his combat strength much. However, the intense pain did not reduce at all. Although it was spiritual consciousness in the illusion space, the pain was no different from reality. Again. Jiang Xi gritted his teeth, endured the pain, and waved his sword again. Chi, roar. The battle was intense and stalemate. Jiang Xi's injuries were increasing, and his sword movements were becoming slower and slower. Correspondingly, the power of the sword technique was also decreasing. Bang! He was once again sent flying by a Herculean demonic ape. This time, before he could get up, he was swarmed by the remaining 20 or so Herculean demonic apes. He was hammered to death. Jiang Xi felt this process very clearly because his consciousness was awake. Then, with a flash of light, he appeared on the original platform. At the same time, the corpses of the Herculean demonic apes on the grassland and the Herculean demonic apes that were still alive instantly disappeared, as if they had never appeared. It took 46 minutes to kill 73 Herculean demonic apes. You failed the trial. The female voice in the illusion space sounded. Upon hearing this voice, Jiang Xi felt rather helpless. Without fully utilizing the wind shadow steps, it would be extremely difficult to pass the 4th stage. The 9 elemental sword art alone was not enough to deal enough damage. If I can grasp the rhythm of the swift sword and increase the offensive power of the sword technique, I might have a chance to pass. Unfortunately, there was no way to use the interface to improve this kind of small skill. He could only practice it by himself. He had practiced for more than a month, but he still hadn't mastered it. How much did the points increase this time? Jiang Xi turned his gaze to the stone pillar beside him, which displayed the results of his current illusion trial. Name, Jiang Xi. Age, 18. Strength, D-Class. Ling 1 Road Level, 3, 73 inch. It's equivalent to a 373 multiplier. I can improve a few ranks on the heaven list. Jiang Xi thought in his heart. He wasn't sure how much he could improve. Now, he could confirm that Ling Wan Road failed the illusion trial. There was no experience. Because there was no prompt on the experience panel just now, and the experience balance did not increase. Entrance to Tianyuan District. The ranking information was updated in real time in the virtual light of the heaven list, and the trainees' rankings were constantly scrolling. Suddenly, one of the rankings began to flicker and climb. It was Jiang Xi's ranking. It moved, it moved. Someone exclaimed 74. 70. 65. 61. Immediately, someone followed the flickering of the ranking and couldn't help but shout out the change of the ranking. Heaven list number 61, Jiang Xi, trainee number 9321. At this point, the ranking no longer changed. In front of the heaven list, there was an uproar. More than 1,000 trainees from the 4 training camps were boiling. Oh my God! If I remember correctly, Jiang Xi created a record in the heaven-level training camp. 30 years ago, there was a new student who rushed to the 64th place on the heaven ranking in the first month. It is said that the senior is now a top-notch A-rank martial artist and has become a secret force in the Black Sky Martial Arts Library. Jiang Xi's ranking in the first month was 3 ranks higher than that senior. Doesn't that mean that Jiang Xi's future achievements will be higher than that senior's? Is there a need to doubt this? There are rumors that Jiang Xi is the first person to get full marks in martial arts after the Spirit Qi revival. If the rumors are true, then his achievements in martial arts are destined to be great. It is said that talent is only potential, not strength. However, Jiang Xi is the kind of person who can turn potential into strength. Among the boiling crowd, there were some who remained silent. How is it possible? How is it possible? Qin Feng kept shaking his head and whispering. After a while, he suddenly raised his head and looked at Jiang Xi's name on the heaven list with resentment. So what if he is strong in martial arts? Wait until the world changes again, then you will know that all this is a joke. I, Qin Feng, am the protagonist of the Spirit Qi revival era. On the other side, Ma Yu and Qiao Sheng looked at each other. Brother Ma, why don't we stay away from Jiang Xi and stop investigating? Qiao Sheng whispered. The orders from above are not so easy to be perfunctory. Just be careful in the future. Ma Yu frowned. Even if Jiang Xi's performance was suffocating, he was not afraid of Jiang Xi. Because he was ranked 5th on the heaven list, he was also a genius. This night is enough to go down in the history of the training camp. It was worth it to be able to witness this scene with my own eyes. Someone exclaimed. Suddenly, someone shouted, latest news, it's not over yet. The senior guarding the Tianyuan Pavilion 2nd floor told me that the room on Ling Wan Road is still closed, indicating that Junior Jiang Xi is continuing to challenge Ling Wan Road. Impossible. Someone immediately refuted. It's true. He is a new trainee and has 2 chances in the first month. The one he used just now was the new trainee privilege. According to speculation, he hasn't used the 2-hour chance this month. Silence. Only the sound of breathing could be heard. Many people, especially the trainees of the heaven-level training camp, finally reacted. Jiang Xi did have 2 chances to challenge Ling Wan Road this month. The one he used just now was for failure and there was no time limit. The remaining one was the normal chance with a 2-hour time limit, but there was no limit to the number of failures. In other words, as long as the time was not up, Jiang Xi could keep trying in the illusion trial. How else can I describe this? Is he going to do something big? Didn't he just say it? He's going against the natural order. How high will he be able to climb this time? Everyone's mood was filled with anticipation and fear. Chapter 106. The instructors of the heaven-level training camp were also paying attention to this matter. Number 3 Shanchuiyuan, Yulin's Manor. A hologram of the heaven ranking appeared in front of everyone. The instructors were congratulating Yulin. Old Yu, congratulations. You've taken in a good disciple. Yulin shook his head lightly. There was no pride or complacency in his words. He knew very well that Jiang Xi's current results had little to do with him. Moreover, it was not the time to celebrate yet. He knew that Jiang Xi had not used his 2 chances to challenge Ling Wan Road this month. Don't worry, it's not over yet. Yulin chuckled. As soon as he said that, some people immediately understood. A new student. Could it be that this kid did not use his 2 chances this month? My ranking can still be pushed up a bit. Even though the instructors were all A-level fighters and had seen many storms, they were still silent in the face of this situation. Some of them even began to envy Yulin. This guy was so stuffy and had such a bad temper. How did he become Jiang Xi's teacher? What a great opportunity. They were all smart people. Of course, they knew that when Jiang Xi made great achievements in martial arts in the future, being Jiang Xi's teacher would be a part of the glory. Unfortunately, there were no ifs. At the same time, they were also looking forward to Jiang Xi's next performance. What ranking could he reach on the heaven ranking? Tianyuan Pavilion, 2nd floor, outside the room on Lingwan Road. The equipment outside the room showed that Jiang Xi was still challenging Lingwan Road. The crowd was also silent. Then, with a whoosh, an uproar broke out. As expected of me, Jiang Gu. Awesome! Awesome! Yan Chao's eyes lit up. I've decided. From now on, Jiang Xi is also my brother. Jiang Gu is awesome. Zhou Xing said in a deep voice. The other students from Pak Sun province were also in disbelief. He was even more envious of Zhou Xing and Yan Chao, because they were friends with Jiang Xi in the same year, and their relationship could be very close. As for these old students, they didn't have this opportunity. At most, they could be considered fellow countrymen beside her. Shu Qiqi was also shocked. She looked at Han Ningxue and said seriously, Ningxue, you have to hurry. Han Ningxue took a deep breath and nodded slightly. On the 4th step of Lingwan Road, Jiang Xi opened his eyes and exited the illusionary space of the 4th step. Because the opportunity just now was to withdraw if he failed, he could only withdraw first. He didn't pay attention to what was happening in the outside world, nor did he think about it. Right now, all he wanted to do was continue to challenge Lingwan Road. The higher the better. I still have one more chance. 2 hours. I can keep trying. I don't believe that I can't pass the 4th stage. Jiang Xi's eyes were determined. He closed his eyes again and entered the illusionary space of the 4th step. On the first platform of the illusionary space, he quickly chose his weapon and equipment. The female voice in the illusionary space reminded him. Participant, please kill 100 Herculean demonic apes in 1 hour. Participant, you have 2 hours left in the illusionary space of the spirit cloud. There is no limit to the number of failures. Jiang Xi was eager to try. He must pass the 4th step. The trial begins. Roar! Roar! 100 Herculean demonic apes roared together. Kill! Jiang Xi shouted coldly. His sword flashed and flashed like lightning. Maintaining a speed of 300 meters per second, the strength of a D-class martial artist was fully unleashed. A half-foot thick layer of transparent sword shadows covered the longsword. Now, it's comparable to a top-tier C-class martial artist. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more, and the power of his swordsmanship would reach B-class. Without fully using the wind shadow step, Jiang Xi felt that the longsword was wrapped in a layer of obstruction. Once it pierced through, the speed of his sword would break through. Facing the crazy attacks of the Herculean demonic apes, Jiang Xi's heart was as calm as still water. He maintained his calmness and moved quickly with his sword. Unconsciously, like muscle memory, he began to try to use the fast sword rhythm that Yulin taught him. Although he had not mastered it yet, he had a large number of fast sword rhythm essentials in his mind and rich theoretical knowledge. The Herculean demonic apes kept falling 1, 2, 10, 60. Bang bang bang. Jiang Xi was suddenly hit by a few Herculean demonic apes. His body was out of control and was directly smashed into pieces in the air. Used 36 minutes to kill 60 Herculean demonic apes. Trial failed. Accompanied by the notification of the illusionary space, Jiang Xi once again appeared on the first platform with a flash of light. He frowned and pondered, quickly summarizing and reflecting. Just now, I was too focused on mastering the fast sword rhythm. Instead, it lowered the hunting efficiency. However, soon, I feel like I'm just missing that layer of membrane. This kind of intuition was very sharp, as if he had foreseen it in advance. Trial taker, please kill 100 Herculean demonic apes within an hour. Without stopping for a moment, the female voice in the illusionary space quickly sounded. On the prairie in front of him, 100 Herculean demonic apes appeared again. Again. Jiang Xi was full of confidence. He jumped up from the platform, like an eagle hunting for prey, and pounced on the Herculean demonic apes. Puff puff, crash, his speed and strength did not change, but his sword was obviously faster. Take back your fist and hit it again. It will be more powerful. The same goes for fast sword. Fast, slow, fast, fast. Fast, fast, fast. Jiang Xi was very calm, focused, and constantly tried to adjust the rhythm of his sword's speed. Buzz. Suddenly, on the quaint long sword, the misty transparent sword shadow grew to 1 foot. The speed of the sword suddenly broke through the barrier and surpassed the speed of sound. This is, Jiang Xi opened his eyes wide. Just now, he had successfully used the rapid sword's rhythm transformation. He completed the action of instantly retracting his sword and attacking again. Ha! Bang bang bang. Under the surprise, a few Herculean demonic apes around him slapped him away. This time, after landing, he was trampled to death. Used 21 minutes to kill 45 Herculean demonic apes, trial failed. Once again returning to the original platform, hearing the voice of the illusionary space reminding him of the trial failure, Jiang Xi was not depressed at all. Instead, he was very excited. Success! Buzz buzz buzz, taking advantage of the fact that the new trial had not yet begun, Jiang Xi tried to use the sword rhythm just now. 6 out of 10 successful attempts. He had mastered it very quickly. He believed that it would not take long for him to completely master it. Trial begins. Roar roar. The Herculean demonic apes roared. Riverward laughed heartily and flew out. The sword's shadow was brandished, and with the sound of breaking the sound barrier, it whistled and attacked. Puchi Puchi, the 9 elemental sword art, which used fast sword as the essence, had a significant increase in power. The Herculean demonic apes, which were good at strength and defense, were easily broken through. B rank. His strength was overwhelming. These Herculean demonic apes could no longer block his sword attack. Under the situation where he did not fully use the wind shadow step, his combat power had reached B rank. If he used the wind shadow step, would his combat power reach A rank? Although he knew that the hope was slim, Jiang Xi still had some expectations in his heart. However, he was now in the heaven-level training camp. For the time being, he would not need to use his A-rank combat power. When he really needed to use it in the future, he might have already reached A rank with the help of the experience points panel. Chapter 107. Entrance to Tianyuan District. The atmosphere was a bit strange, not as enthusiastic as before. Because everyone was waiting for Jiang Xi's ranking to change. It's been more than an hour. Maybe with his strength, he can only rush to this rank. Jiang Xi is a D-class warrior, so the demonic apes in the 4th stage of the illusion trial are also D-class. But they have the attack power of advanced martial arts, each of them is close to a C-class warrior. It's too difficult to pass. Yeah, the old trainees of our heaven-level training camp basically have to reach the C-class to have a chance to pass. He's already very strong. If he waits for half a year or a year, with the resources of the heaven-level training camp, his strength will increase again, and he will probably be able to pass the 4th stage. Everyone sighed, some were envious, and some were jealous. When they found that Jiang Xi's ranking had not changed after so long, many people were relieved. For example, Qin Feng, Ma Yu, Qiao Sheng, and others. Most of them had the same thought in their hearts. Fortunately, he's just abnormal, not too abnormal. Everyone was calculating the time. When they estimated that Jiang Xi's second chance to pass Ling Wan Road was only half an hour left, they were also sure that this was almost the end. However, no one planned to leave. They had to persist until the end. Suddenly, the noisy voices around the heaven list suddenly quieted down. They saw that the 61st place on the heaven list, Jiang Xi's ranking information, flashed and rolled, jumping up. Exclamations were everywhere. He moved again. Oh my God. Please, don't move again. Some people were worried that their hearts could not take it. In the end, Jiang Xi's ranking stopped at the 55th place. Heaven list 55th, Jiang Xi, Academy number 9321. Everyone was silent. For a long time, there was no movement here. Let's go back to sleep. I can't watch anymore. Someone shook his head blankly. This is too frustrating. Are we all practicing the same martial arts? Someone sighed to the sky. He must be cheating. Someone was angry. Qin Feng, Ma Yu, Qiao Sheng, and the others remained silent, but their eyes flickered. Not bad, not bad. I didn't make it into the top 50. It's still acceptable. In the face of this result, they actually felt a sense of relief. 23:48 midnight. Whoosh! Suddenly, there was an uproar, as if a pot had exploded. The entrance of Tianyuan community was bustling with activity again. It was even livelier than before. It's again, moving again. Fuck. 49th. Is he still human? There were even people who directly cursed out loud. They really couldn't take it anymore. Heaven list rank 49, Jiang Xi, student number 9321. The rankings stopped there, and there were no more changes. There were only 12 minutes left in February, and the rankings of the other people on the heaven leaderboard could no longer change. It was certain that Jiang Xi had made it into the top 50. What did it mean to enter the top 50 of the heaven leaderboard in the first month? 30 years ago, a new student had set an amazing record of rushing to the 64th place in the heaven leaderboard in the first month. Later, this person graduated in advance before completing 5 years of training in the heaven-level training camp. He became an A-rank warrior and quickly became a powerhouse standing at the peak of martial arts. Compared to this person, Jiang Xi's performance was even more amazing. No new student of the heaven-level training camp had ever rushed into the top 50 of the heaven leaderboard in the first month. For a moment, no one could guess what height Jiang Xi could reach in the future. But what they could be sure of was that Jiang Xi would only become stronger in the future. Because Jiang Xi stood at a level higher than geniuses, and he was frightening and terrifying. Ma Yu's expression was solemn. He let out a long breath, and then said to Qiao Sheng, "Don't worry about the orders from above. In the future, don't investigate Jiang Xi, and don't provoke him. This kind of person can't be offended." Qiao Sheng was a little scared. This was because he had challenged Jiang Xi to a spar, and fortunately, he was rejected. If Jiang Xi had really accepted the challenge, it would have created a grudge. If he offended such a monstrous genius, he would be finished sooner or later. In the crowd, looking at Jiang Xi's heaven leaderboard ranking, Qin Feng's expression didn't change much this time. He was very calm. Wait, at most half a year. Qin Feng calmly turned and left. On the second floor of the Tianyuan Pavilion, the door of the room on Lingwan Road slowly opened. Jiang Xi walked out with a frown. Jiang Gu is awesome. Suddenly, he heard someone shout excitedly. Looking in the direction of the voice, he found that the lounge outside was already full of people. The people who shouted were Zhou Xing and Yan Chao. Jiang Xi smiled indifferently. He had already expected such a scene. Jiang Gu, why are you still so calm? You created a new record. Do you know? Yan Chao was even more excited than Jiang Xi. Maybe it's just luck. Jiang Xi chuckled and shook his head. As expected of Jiang Gu. After causing such a big thing, he still doesn't change his expression. Zhou Xing praised from the side. Yes, yes. Yan Chao nodded in agreement. He was determined to follow the path of a loyal fan to the end. Jiang Xi's mood still didn't change much because there was nothing to celebrate. The only thing that made him happy was that he had successfully mastered the rhythm of the fast sword. This allowed him to have the combat power of a B-grade martial artist with only the 9 elemental swordsmanship. He passed the 4th stage of the illusion trial on Lingwan Road in one try and obtained 4 times the points increase. His ranking directly rose to 55th. Then, he went to the 5th stage. Unfortunately, the 5th stage was against the Wind-Fiend White Tiger that was good at speed. Coupled with the attack that was comparable to the complete mastery of advanced martial arts techniques, it was just enough to restrain him. He spent nearly half an hour and only killed 41 Wind-Fiend White Tigers before he was swept by the tiger's tail that was as fast as lightning. He died in the tiger's mouth. Coincidentally, the 2 hours were up and he could only withdraw from the 5th stage of the illusion trial. Even so, he still managed to obtain a 41-point multiplier and soared to 49th place on the Heaven leaderboard. The 5th stage Wind-Fiend White Tiger's speed is faster than the speed of sound. If I use the Wind Shadow Step with all my strength, I should be able to pass the trial. Jiang Xi estimated in his mind. After understanding this, Jiang Xi stopped thinking about it. Instead, he looked around and faced the enthusiastic gazes of the crowd. He chuckled and said, "Thank you, everyone." Although some of them were here to watch the fun, most of them were students from Pak Sun province. They were definitely here to support him. You're welcome. Junior Jiang Xi's performance is really amazing. Junior Jiang Xi, we're all from the same hometown. Let's keep in touch when we have time. Ha, Junior Jiang Xi, I have a younger sister who is about the same age as you. She's the campus belle of Beishan Second High School. You should get to know her when you have the chance. In the end, under everyone's enthusiasm, Riverward could no longer maintain his composure and fled in defeat. Why didn't you go up and say a few words? Shu Qiqi asked Han Ningxue. Han Ningxue smiled and said calmly, this is a good time for him to enjoy the cheers. I can't go up and disturb him. She was a stubborn person and would not give up easily. After being rejected by Jiang Xi last time, although she was disappointed, she quickly pulled herself together. Love does not know where it comes from, but it goes deep. She once read this sentence in an ancient book and liked the charm of this sentence. Perhaps, she was in such a state now.